Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good night, good wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. I'm Legal Vices. Welcome here. We've got a little group already gathered here and waiting. I had to be, I had to be a YouTube superstar and just kind of show up late. But no, actually, I had a friend that was supposed to stop by at 7 p.m. It's 9 p.m. now. I had a friend that was supposed to stop by at 7. They said they were going to be late and they wouldn't stay very long. They came at 8 and they left exactly 30 seconds ago. So I shoved them out the door and jumped in the chair. It is Memorial Day in the United States. So it's a day off from the courts. We have an extra day to pick up the trial and to do a little bit more analysis of the closing arguments. The music for those of you that know, it's the the Dr. Robotnik music from the original Sega game, because I was on Legal Mindset's channel and someone mentioned that I looked like Dr. Robotnik and it stuck. So, but anyway, welcome from Korea. Looks like we've got Texas here, and where else have we got here? We got Texas, and Texas. Okay, everybody here from Texas. I assume not everybody here is from Texas. Brigham City, Utah. Sweet. That's about as close to my hometown as you can get. Wow. Swan Lake Lady, Brigham City. Welcome. I'll be back in Brigham City in about 8 weeks. 8 weeks. I'll be back in Brigham City, Oregon, Portugal, North Carolina, UK, Germany, Sweden. All right. More Germany. OGM's from South Korea. Hey, Paris. Well, all right. Florida. All right. We're good. We are good to go. Saudi Arabia. My brother is in Riyadh for the next couple of weeks. He's been there for several years and he's leaving. So, all right, without further ado, let's kind of jump into Switzerland, Ohio, Dubai. I was in Dubai recently. Okay, well, not recently, before Corona, and Wales, Canada, Oz. All right, we're from everywhere. I love that. We got people from everywhere. And Carlos from Los Angeles. All right. So if I don't know how many people were here last time, but all right, let me just switch on my light here because it's going to get dark really quick. Hang on just a second. I'm just turning on there we go. I knew something didn't look right. Hey, there we go. Now I can see myself. Oh, I'm pleased to have people. Finland, one of my best friends is from Finland. New Zealand, everybody's checking in. That's great. If you were here last time, we got partway through Rottenborn's closing statement. And if we remember, each side was allotted 2 hours for their closing arguments. And because of the countersuit from Amber Heard to Johnny Depp, this is how it progressed. There's Johnny Depp's closing statements. There's Amber Heard's closing statements. Then Johnny Depp gets a rebuttal. And then, because Amber Heard has a counterclaim, they get what's called a surrebuttal. And the judge gave them 2 hours. 2 hours to do this. And we'll see how they allotted their time. We know Johnny Depp's team did very well on time allocation. And Amber's team didn't do so well. So we'll look at the time allocation and we'll look at the arguments. Before we get going, asking if okay, let me explain this again. I have this on subscribers only mode, just because I'm in the process of getting mods lined up. There's people sending some emails saying they'd be interested. That's great. So I'm in the process of getting the mods set up, and then I can kind of open it up and let mods take care of it if they happen to be here. And also, if you weren't familiar with what happened to me last Friday, I suddenly went crazy. I just literally got 10,000 subscribers in a very, very short period of time. I got to where I could monetize. So I haven't monetized yet. That's why there's no super chats or anything like that. But I have started the application process for monetization. I'm in the final stage where they're just reviewing all of the submissions and all of the channel to see what's going on. So they said that could take anywhere from now to a month. Hopefully it doesn't take a month. Oh wait, what so yeah, hopefully sometime soon we'll be monetized and ready to go. But we'll just have to see. I'm trying to think if there's no other housekeeping details we need to get to before we take off, I guess. Anybody think of anything? Oh, great. Well, now the big deal we've got going here is if it looks like there's bots lurking around in the channel and whatnot, let me know or take care of them yourselves. If you look in the upper right, there's, I guess, a little the 3-dot thing. If you click on the message, and you should be able to block it. So we're just kind of working these things. These were all questions, bots and monetization. All this was stuff I thought I would be worrying about 6-8 months, a year down the road, but it all just happened so fast. What? Okay. I don't know. Soy Mafia is being critical, saying that the shirt looks like a woman's blouse and she doesn't like my green wallpaper. Well, that's very nice of you to say that. Thank you, and have a nice day. That's enough there. So let's look into this. Where are we? We'll bring up our little window here. We'll kind of do the big window for a while today, and then we'll change it up later. But for now, this is what we've got to work with, and we'll do this. And again, because I don't have mods, I don't have super chats and whatnot, I don't get to see a lot of the chats, but I'm trying to look. I look as often as I can, and I'll say what I can. What am I drinking today? I'm going to be getting into the Ardbeg Corryvrecken. I was going to make a lovely, nice 3 olive martini before I started, but my friend would not leave, and I had no time. All right. On that note, let's pick up where we left off with Mr. Rottenborn's closing statements. He should be almost done with his ridiculously lengthy thing. Scamber turd, do you speak Korean? Yes, I do. I've been here 34 years. On to the testimony.
And he told Amber for about the 25th time, she said, the only way out of this is death. I don't want to post nup.
Okay, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. It's stupid that Johnny Depp wouldn't want a prenuptial agreement or a postnuptial agreement. That just doesn't make any sense. But whatever.
And then she said she remembered him slamming up against the wall. And I won't go through. You remember her testimony from Australia. You remember her saying that he had her by the neck, squeezing her neck. You remember her saying that he threw her on the games table like a ping pong.
Have my bulldog stepped on a bee?
That broken table.
Not yet.
You remember her saying
they've been bitten by mosquitoes.
At some point he had a broken bottle up against her face, and he told her that he'd carve up her face, that he was throwing bottles at her. He's throwing bottles one after another, and I could feel glass breaking behind me, and you've seen the evidence of that. And he was just over and over again smashing the phone into the wall, screaming at me as she watched it break into pieces. Now, she doesn't know how he lost his finger.
Bullshit.
She said that she saw him
starting off right
to pieces. And you heard him get impeached the other day with his testimony from the UK, which was different from what he testified here, where he said he did smash a phone. And then they tried to put that picture in front of you with a desk phone and suggest that that was it. It's deception. They're trying to deceive you.
Well, I would argue that somebody's trying to deceive, and it's not Johnny Depp.
She found meat that he had left all over the house, but not before what happened before she went to bed that night. Where Miss Heard testified, and I remember trying to get up, and I was slipping on the glass.
That is just the most ridiculous thing ever. Hi, Wild Seed. Good morning. Projection 1000%, Carlos says. Yeah. I mean, this has just bothered me since it came out of her mouth, that there is broken glass everywhere. He's dragging her through the glass, and she is in her bare feet, slipping on the glass. Her feet, I mean, we all know her feet would be just cut to ribbons, and there would be blood everywhere. But I don't see it.
I was wanting to move. I felt this pressure in my pubic bone. I remember just not wanting to move because I didn't know if it was broken.
Now, I have no frame of reference for this, but I would think that if you were being penetrated by a broken bottle, you might know it. Ugh. I think you would know it. And the fact she said she was bleeding from there, she was bleeding from her vagina, and she thought there may be a broken bottle inside of her, but she just took a nap. You know, she just took some pills and went to sleep. I'm literally at a complete loss for words as to how any of that would make any sense whatsoever.
I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken.
Yeah. I don't believe that for a second. That's not a white lie. That's just a full-on fucking lie.
The bloody stump of his finger. And there's been testimony about what happened to cut the finger off. But frankly, it's irrelevant to your deliberations here. Amber could have chopped it off with an axe, and it has nothing to do with whether or not Mr. Depp abused her. But we all know she didn't. We all know.
He's a little graphic, but he's kind of actually right. It doesn't matter whether she chopped it off with an axe. But I can see that happening more than Johnny Depp chopping his own finger off.
That his fingers weren't curled, and someone was standing with a half-gallon vodka bottle from about where that canopy is and threw it, and it somehow managed to damage just the bottom of the finger and leave the nail fully intact.
That happens, dumbass. I have a toe to prove it.
Mr. Depp knows it didn't happen. We'll see some evidence of that. But here, he writes about her ambitions, starring Billy Bob and Easy Amber. We talked about controlling, jealousy, talked about him not wanting her to act. Dawn Hughes testified how that is a form of intimate partner abuse. Here he's writing on the mirror again, and they try to blame her and say that she wrote Call Carly Simon. She didn't write that.
Let's talk about this for a little bit. Yeah, he's a guitar player. There's no way he would have injured his hand. I mean, that's his argument, and as a guitar player myself, I completely would agree. Yeah, but looking here at this, if you look at the notes that she's written, that in red looks very much like her handwriting to me. And so you look at how the A in She Said is way different than the A in Naked. You know, the S's are shaped different. The red S's have a short top and a big round bottom. If you look up in Loves, the S is pretty symmetrical and is more Z shaped. It's more angular than it is round. I mean, you don't have to be a handwriting expert to see that those are different bits of handwriting. But they made a very interesting comment during the, Depp's team made a very interesting argument during this thing. This is where she said she's been savaged by a bottle. She's had the shit kicked out of her in a terrorist kidnapping for 3 days. She's bleeding everywhere. She's being dragged across broken glass. She's slipping on broken glass. Why isn't she in this mirror? Notice how the picture is being taken from an angle where she is not visible in the picture. I didn't realize how weird that was until they pointed out all the pictures of the mirrors that she's submitted. She's not in any of them. When all she has to do is take one or two steps to the right, and she's going to be visible with all of these horrific injuries in the mirror. Yeah.
Who was the lunatic?
There's a few vampire comments. Yeah, maybe she's standing directly in front of the mirror. That could be. She could be a vampire.
House.
A
Who was
Hollywood
writing
vampire.
everywhere? There's no evidence she wrote that. She testified she doesn't even know who Carly Simon was until she was told. This is some of the evidence. Mr. Depp told you a couple different stories.
Okay, and this right here is supposedly on this white floor. This is supposedly all of the blood from her being drugged through the glass and slipping on the glass. These 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 little drops.
The other day about the evidence on the right, he claimed that was the handle of vodka between those two beer cans there. But then under cross-examination, he admitted it's not, that there's not enough glass on the floor, that there's no handle of vodka on the floor. But what there is in the picture on the right is evidence of when he was throwing bottles past Amber's head and breaking that plate glass window.
Notice how he was throwing them past her head and not at her.
On the right. Imagining having a painting area where you're drawing two canvases and you and your husband get in a fight, and while you are asleep that night, he takes the bloody stump of his finger and dips it in paint and destroys your paintings. Ladies and gentlemen, that's abuse. Good luck and be careful at the top. And this is a good chance to talk about Mr. Depp's controlling and jealous rage and his desire to control Amber's
do you know how much he could sell that lampshade for at auction now?
He didn't want her to act. As early as 2013, he tells his sister, I don't need actress bullshit and her fucking ambition. He tells her in this recording,
You look at the bigger picture. What is irrational when you're doing movies? I become jealous and fucking crazy and weird. And, we fight a lot more.
I become jealous when you're doing movies. I become irrational and fucking crazy and weird. Out of his own mouth.
I don't believe he said the words "I abuse you" or "I strike you" or "hit you" or "kill you."
His therapist called him self-destructive. Something about wait up to fight the devil. Jealous, and I know this is hard to read, but you can see jealous, you see paranoia, fear, envy. He wanted to control her. He wanted to own her. He didn't want her to have any career. And then he says things
That's
like,
a big
I have
stretch.
other uses for your throat, which do not include injury. No one who's hasn't previously grabbed someone by the throat would write, which do not include injury. We all know.
I'm sorry. This is just one of the funniest lines from here they are being like super slutty and sexual with each other, being ridiculously perverse, and he's trying to make it about abuse. The only reason we go for the throat is love. My throat is yours. You're going to be the death of me, but I don't care. I have other uses for your throat, which do not include injury. Please, Johnny, elaborate on that statement. Please describe the other uses which you may have for her throat that do not include injury. We're waiting. Oh, my God. I mean, I love Johnny's one-liners. I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury. Ladies, do you recommend I adopt that as a new pickup line, or should I just leave that one there? That is just the dumbest shit. And he's trying to make it all about abuse. And Joanne, that's one of my that's one of my top 3 too. The Aquaman. I like that one. That's my second favorite quote. The Aquaman.
How Mr. Depp thinks along these lines, because you saw these 2 texts the other day that he sat on the stand and denied writing. And I'm not going to read them to you again because they're the most vulgar, vile writing you can imagine. He said, that's not my
Noted.
style. I wouldn't write like that. Of course he would. And he did. These are texts that he produced that he gave to Amber and our team in this litigation from him to his personal assistant, Stephen Duders. This is about women. This, not what you heard on the stand, that. It's disgusting.
Calls for a
He
conclusion.
admitted that he cut his finger off. This is evidence of him admitting to it to people other than Amber. I cut the top of my middle finger off. Says that to Dr. Kipper. Says it again to Dr. Kipper. The bottom one he says to Nurse Velati. I just chopped my finger off. But he does say it to Amber too. Remember, we played this one 4 times, and Mr. Depp denied that he was actually saying the day that I chopped my finger off. Let's hear it one more time.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
now we're talking about Australia. Okay.
The day that I chopped my finger off. So let's fast forward to March 23rd, 2015.
Well, let's look at that. That statement. Yeah, the day that I chopped my finger off. Yeah, I was riding my motorcycle and was sort of kind of hit by a car and broke both of my arms at the same time. And I say, yeah, I broke both of my arms on my motorcycle. I don't say I was driving down the road and there was a truck parked illegally on the right side of the road. He makes an illegal U-turn in front of a stoplight, through a crosswalk, across 4 lanes of traffic, talking on his phone, broke my arms. Yeah, that doesn't work that way. You say I broke my arms. I broke my leg one day. Yeah, I say I broke my leg. I don't describe how it happened. That is, and I honest to God hope the jury are normal human beings that understand how people talk.
15. After just a few weeks in Australia.
Good point. If you look at the x-rays, clear it wasn't cut at all.
That. He comes home. He gets what they call a soft cast on it, which you heard his treating physician and our experts say it doesn't have sides on it, but it's a hard plaster cast over the top of his finger that can be wielded like a club.
Oh, Jesus, fucking. You have the end of your finger lopped off. And you've got, I mean, it's a thin strip of plaster taped up. You're not going to be hitting things with the severed end of your finger. You're not going to be using that as a, oh, for God's sake, this is just annoying.
Got in an argument when Miss Heard discovered that he was having an affair with a woman named Rochelle that had been going on before the wedding, after the wedding, and she confronted him about that. No surprise there. They got in a huge argument. At some point in the argument, he bolted up the stairs. Now, Travis McGivern claims that she threw a Red Bull can at him. She claims, and Whitney Enriquez say that absolutely didn't happen. But even if you believe Mr. McGivern, at some point, Mr. Depp went up the stairs. He went to the fight. This is the man that claims he always wants to run, and this time he had his bodyguard with him. So he could have just walked out the door, but he runs up the stairs, and Miss Enriquez is standing on the precipice of the stairs. And Amber admitted that when she thought he was about to push her down the stairs, as he's grabbing at her and Amber with his free hand and trying to club them with the casted hand, that she said, I punched him square in the face.
They seem to have left out an important detail from the first time they told that story. The first time they told the story, Johnny came rushing up the stairs and it looked like he was going to push the sister down the stairs, just like he pushed Kate Moss down the stairs. But unfortunately, we had Kate Moss come in and say, nope. I slipped down on the stairs and he was such a loving, kind gentleman. He picked me up and took me. Oh, Margot, Kate was there. Kate was a witness. Kate Moss was a witness. She had a little over 3 minutes of testimony, and all she said, it was raining. She slipped on the marble stairs. She hurt her back. She screamed. Johnny Depp picked her up and carried her up and got her medical attention. Never kicked her, hit her, punched her, did anything physically abusive to her ever. And then she got off the stand. That was the mentally abusive woman. I apologized. Yep. Every time I yelled back. So, yeah, he left out the Kate Moss part of the story because Kate Moss showed up and said it was bullshit.
I punched him square in the face. And they showed you a picture of the shiner that she had, that Mr. Depp had. Miss Heard doesn't deny that. They're trying to say she's the abuser.
Yep.
for defending herself and her sister from this animal who's running at them. This person that they
This
claim
animal
couldn't possibly have done this because he had a hurt finger. Yet he could have done this. This is what Mr. McGivern said was rearranging her closet. I don't know what you all do when you rearrange your closets, but I hope it doesn't look like this.
Kind
This
of
is throwing
does.
the clothing rack down the stairs. This is knocking this over. This is what he did to rearrange her closet with his hurt finger that he couldn't possibly have hit.
I'm sorry, Mama. I'm rearranging your closet.
That in
Good,
and of
good
itself,
Eminem song
that
there.
destruction of property, even if he hadn't hit her that night, that's abuse. Imagine being married to someone and walking on eggshells so thick that you don't know if you set them off, if that's what's going to happen.
Now, this is a legitimate question. I would like to hear from people here in the chat. And this is a legitimate question. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not projecting my answers. In your personal opinion, would this kind of behavior be considered abuse again? I mean, objectively speaking, I mean, don't give me just an answer. If this happened, would this be considered spousal abuse? Give me an A or an N in the comments. I'm generally curious to see whether people would consider this to be spousal abuse or not. An A for abuse and an N for not abuse. Okay, we're getting a bit of both. Okay, that's interesting. And we have a wait. Sylvia who said A said wait, then she changed. But we did see another A up there. So not physical abuse, just abuse. Period. Because she's alleging sexual and physical violence and abuse. So I think that's the problem with this abuse is it's open to interpretation, and that's kind of the danger of this. And how the jury is going to see it will be a big, I think, determining factor in how all of this works out. So we'll just have to see.
That's abuse. It's disgusting. But sometimes he would apologize. He'd say, I can't express how sorry I am for having stooped so low as to have spewed such vicious untruths for the sole purpose of hurting you. Grievous error, shameful. So
he's apologizing for words there.
went in these cycles. He went in these cycles. She thought he could change for good. And when it was good, it was really good.
He's not apologizing for hitting her or anything.
Like December 15th came around, where she remembers him chasing her in the kitchen. She remembers him shoving her 2 or 3 times and sending her toppling over a Chase lounge and saying, do you really want to go again, tough guy? And she looked at him and he balled up his fist, leaned back, and headbutted her square in the nose.
Again. This is not making sense to me. Why is this not making sense to me? It's not making sense to me because I don't know why you would ball up your fist and then headbutt somebody. Why wouldn't you just punch him in the head? And having been headbutted before, that to me does not look like a headbutt incident. The nose is still in perfect condition. The nose is still in perfect condition. And now I think I've mentioned this before. I have a friend who works in a plastic surgery clinic, and she looked at this picture. I said, what is this a picture of? Is this a picture of abuse or something else? She said, oh no, that's Botox injection. And it was just dead cold matter of fact like that. She said, oh no, that's a Botox injection. And she explained how how this is like where the needle entry site would be, and then how the swelling goes up here, and then they repeat it over there. That's what she said. But you know, we never know, but it's who can prove what. Who has the most convincing evidence? Again, I'm still firmly in Camp Depp for having the most believable evidence.
And pounded her head with the back of his fist so she couldn't breathe on that bed that we're going to see in a second, where she was suffocating in this pillow top. And she said, "This is when I thought I was going to die. He's going to kill me, and he doesn't even know what he's doing because he's out of his mind." And these are the pictures.
Wait. Dude, they don't inject Botox in your eyes. No, they inject it under your eyes, like right about here. They don't inject it into your eyes. In the fat, that's where they put the filler and the Botox, like in the fatty part under the eye.
That they claim, I don't know what they're claiming. I don't know if they're claiming she painted on the bruise.
Yes.
Oh, you weren't hurt
Not-
badly enough.
not that one.
So therefore you're making it up.
Yeah.
Look under her eye. And again,
Not that you
their
weren't
theory
hurt
is that
badly
all of
enough, so
this
you had
is a
to.
lie.
You just
All
weren't
of
hurt.
This was some grand hoax. If this were a hoax, ladies and gentlemen, she'd have worse injuries than that.
If it were reality, she would have worse injuries than that. Come on, bruh.
Really do it up. She took pictures as they existed when she could at the time of abuse. And yet Ms. Vasquez has the nerve to say, well, why didn't she videotape an incident of abuse? What, if she's being hit, she's supposed to somehow grab a video camera with one hand while she's defending herself with another hand? You heard her in one of the audio
She
tapes
took the
talking about when she hit him as he was trying to barge at her and she got her feet caught under a door as he's coming after her. And of course, as Don Hughes testified to, victims, of course, of control like this, they do try to appease their abusive partner and apologize for things that aren't their fault. So as you're coming at me, Johnny, and you push a door into me and I have to hit you to get away, to protect myself, yeah, she did apologize for that because that's the cycle of violence. That's what victims.
Now let's look at this. No one's ever. This is a kind of interesting thing. Nobody's ever testified which way the door swings. I'm curious about that. Nobody ever questioned which way the door swings. That would tell you who's on, which side of the door.
Do. Yet they continue to blame the victim. There's no evidence she painted on that bloody lip. And again, if we're talking about a hoax, the next day she went on James Corden and they say, well, you can't see any injury there, so it must not have happened. She would have to be the dumbest person in the world to say, I'm going to commit an abuse hoax, but let's do it the day before I go on national television.
Again, how is this? I want to see how this isn't a cold sore. And the other thing, if you've noticed through the trial, she does this thing. She chews on that corner of her lip. She's always chewing on her lip like this. It could have been a chew. But see, the fact that we don't know this, because, if you get these injuries, you go to the doctor, you get some evidence from the doctor so that you don't have these questions later.
Let's do it the day before. But you heard Melanie Iglesias, her makeup artist, testify in great detail. And I didn't even understand half the terms about makeup that she was using.
Liar.
She testified
He
in great
goes home and
detail
puts
about
on
exactly
makeup.
what she did to cover up those bruises. The red lipstick that she put to cover up the busted lip. You heard the testimony of that from a neutral party who said exactly.
I
what
wouldn't
she
say
did.
that her
Talk
makeup
about
artist
how
was
she
a
looked at the color
neutral
wheel to
party.
neutralize the bruising. They claim it was just an accidental headbutt. Well, no accidental headbutt rips out hair. They claim, Miss Heard somehow used a pocket knife to cut.
Oh, fuck me. This whole thing. First of all, If you haven't seen the explanation about why this breakage is impossible, why it's impossible for Johnny Depp to have broken this bed with his shoe while applying pressure to her, as explained in detail in Law and Lumber's channel. You should go watch that. He's a lawyer, but he's also a woodworker, and he actually provides a demonstration as to why it's impossible for the bed to have been broken in the way that Amber alleges it was broken, and how it was broken with the help, he suggests, of the pocket knife up there on the bed. Now, for me, like I'll take his word for it because it makes sense, and I'm not a master woodworker. But the thing that bothers me about this picture is she said that this is where he was smashing her face into the bed, smashing her face into the pillows. She thought she was going to die. She couldn't breathe. He's rabbit punching her in the back of the head and pulling out chunks of hair. And she testified there was hair everywhere, and the pillows were soaked with blood, she said. So there's clumps of hair out on the bed. The pillows are soaked with blood. So she takes a picture of a little strip of wood at the bottom of the bed as evidence that she was nearly killed. I mean, the fact that there's not a picture of the blood-soaked pillow not only makes me doubt that, but it makes me doubt it less than if she hadn't have said anything in the first place. I mean, because you have a choice. You have three things you can take pictures of: a blood-soaked pillow, clumps of hair ripped out of your head, or the little chip of wood taken out of the bottom of the bed. Which one of those three do you choose? Clearly, the answer is the strip of wood from the bottom of the bed. Oh yeah, and if you're going to do that, don't leave the pocket knife on the bed.
This portion of the bed out to stage this. Well, I don't know if that's a pocket knife or not, but the only testimony in this trial about a pocket knife is Whitney Henriquez saying that Mr. Depp carried a pocket knife in his pocket every day.
Okay, this is my question, and I think this is kind of an American thing, because I mean, talking with people here in Korea, and people have mentioned it to me before. It may be an American thing. It may be an American West thing where I grew up. Every guy, every dude, every boy carries a pocket knife. Anybody else that's watching now from America, are you carrying a pocket knife or not? Yeah, it's a Swiss thing. Yeah, the Swiss do have some pocket knives, don't they? So yeah, it's just a thing. Every dude I know carries a pocket knife, and people will, even you. I mean, I would show you mine, but it's just over in the other room next to the whiskey in the background. I took it out of my pocket when I got home from work. But yeah, everybody just carries a knife. This is just fucking stupid. I shouldn't be swearing this early in the program because it's going to be horrific by the time I get done. See, there's even women here that are carrying pocket knives. Sweet.
I think one of the most telling things about this incident is the text he sent to David Heard, Amber's dad, 2 weeks later, where he says, "I meant to send this to you a week or so ago. I'm sending it to you now." And he says, I forget if it's a text or an email, but you can look at BX580. He says, "Yes, I fucked up and went too far in our fight."
What does that mean? That doesn't prove anything. What does going too far mean? Calling his daughter a cunt? Is that going too far? If you're in the mythical land of Australia, apparently that's just a greeting amongst friends. But but what does I fucked up and went too far in our fight mean?
Because as a result of that fight and the bruises that all of
Danger, Will Robinson.
The family refused to go to the Bahamas with them for Christmas.
I got in trouble with the police for carrying what they thought was a baton, but was actually a selfie stick.
For Christmas. And on that trip to the island, Mr. Depp kept passing out, and every time he passed out, he would dump a glass of wine on Amber's lap. And she didn't like that, and she yelled at him. And because it was in front of his kids, he got up. This is the one where Tara Roberts took the video. She didn't show you the closet. She didn't show you the bathroom. And Amber says, while holding my neck, this is in the closet, he said, I'll fucking kill you if you ever speak to me like that in front of my kids again because you embarrass me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took her into the bathroom, and she said, but this time he grabbed my vagina, shoved his fingers inside me, but through my bathing suit and held me there and asked me if I was so fucking tough. And then she ran out of the house. And to keep him away from her, that's when he claims.
Okay,
she
random pause here. Australia, same as UK, illegal to carry any type of pocket knife. For some reason, I'm surprised by that. For some reason, I'm surprised that it's illegal to carry pocket knives in Australia. I don't know why, but I am.
Something at him. She didn't know what it was. It's been testimony. It was a can of mineral spirits that she claimed that hit Mr. Depp. And Mr. Depp is somehow the victim in that encounter. Come on. We talk about the train ride to Asia. You saw the pictures taken before they got on the train ride where Mr. Depp has the same shadowing under his eye that he does in the allegedly abusive picture. But in that picture, he held in that train ride, talk about a honeymoon, he held her up against the wall while she was trying to get his arms off her neck, and he was squeezing her neck against the railway car. And at some point, I pulled the lapel of his shirt, he rips the shirt off, and she woke up with the shirt around her neck and a giant knot in the back of her head.
And no evidence to prove it. So you can assert all the shit you want and go ahead. You know, that's what they say, it's the pasta rule. Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. You can do that. But come on. You can say whatever you want, but that's not what the courts of justice are about. It's not about who can say what. It's who can prove what. And unfortunately, it's a real fucking sad situation too. And I have to tell clients a lot. You are maybe 100% right in everything you say. You may be 100% right. But unfortunately, in any legal system around the world that I'm remotely familiar with, the question is not who is right and wrong. Unfortunately, that's not what courts and justice are about. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is it's about who can prove what. I mean, that's just it. If you're going to court, you better be able to prove something. Because even if you're 100% right, even if Amber Heard is absolutely truthful in every single thing she said, she can't prove any of it. And if you can't prove it, it's just as good as not having happened in the eyes of the courts and hopefully the jury.
Her birthday party, just very quickly, he experienced terrible financial news that night.
It's the old thing, pictures or it didn't happen.
Came over, they got into a fight. There's been conflicting evidence about that. But Amber said, I hit the side of the desk. He chest bumped me. He fell to the floor. I fell to the floor. And when I got back up, he held me down by the shoulders. And that's when he grabbed her by the pubic bone and pushed her down. And you'll remember Ms. Vasquez showing her interrogatory answers where she details a lot of this and saying, nowhere in there does it say that. And Ms. Heard says it actually does on page 64.
Okay.
I pointed out to Ms. Vasquez exactly where it says that.
Exactly
That's
where.
abuse. It's sexual abuse. But we all know what Mr. Depp does when he experiences terrible financial news or terrible news. He experienced terrible news that night on the way to the birthday party where both of his bodyguards have testified.
Oh, yeah. I think this is where he's going to say that every time he gets bad news, he runs out and does a line of coke and gets really abusive.
He was either visiting his sick mom or getting a birthday present for Amber. And then we know what happens the day after his mother passed away on May 21st, 2016. And we're going to skip through a little bit of this now. And Elaine will talk about this in the context of the counterclaim.
You should talk about it if you freaking give her time, dude.
These are pictures that now they're claiming that, they must have been faked. There's been no testimony in this case that these pictures were faked.
Kind of there was.
There's been no testimony that the marks you see on Amber's face, including this mark with a straight line from below her eye to the top of her temple, that it lines up directly with a phone. There's been no testimony that those are fake.
Well, I don't think there was any testimony that it directly lined up with a phone either.
Pictures of her friends. That's abuse. Property destruction like that, in and of itself is abuse. He destroyed her office.
Okay, that's I have problems with that. Property destruction in and of itself is abuse. I think, to answer my own question I asked earlier, I think destroying property can be a form of abuse, but just to be inherently, in and of itself, breaking something is not abuse. Oh, I've got my swizzle stick here. Ah, I just broke property. I committed abuse. No, I don't think abuse works that way.
He destroyed her friend Rocky Pennington's preparation for the bead show that she was having. He spilled wine in the hallway that you'll notice the police denied. Oh, there was no spilled wine in the hallway. Well, even Isaac Baruch.
If we look at the gist of what all 4 of the police officers said in 2 separate calls, there was no evidence of a crime having been committed. I don't personally recall them saying whether they saw wine or not. Maybe they weren't looking in the right place, or maybe they weren't looking at it. I don't know. I don't remember them saying they didn't see spilled wine. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. I just personally don't remember it. But I do remember them saying there was no evidence that a crime had been committed. And spilling, fuck me, if spilling alcohol is a crime, then I'm gonna get a freaking life sentence.
Testify that he saw this in the hallway. And they said she never sent anything to her medical providers. These are the texts that she sent to her nurse, Erin Filati, the night that it happened. These are pictures of her in the courtroom. We're not going to play this right now, but you can listen to this. This is that terribly disturbing text of him in July of 2016, threatening to cut himself and telling, you cut me or I will. You all remember.
With the big giant fucking... Now, oh God. All right. First of all of you that are viewing the channel right now, all of you that are watching this together with me, if you don't hit like, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, that's inherently violent. That's inherently abuse. Don't abuse me. Like and subscribe to my channel. I am so shitty at self-promotion because I'm just having too much fun talking. But seriously, like and subscribe or you're abusing me. Damn it. Now, onto the knife. On to the knife thing. She's testified from the beginning. Oh, I'm so terrified of him. Oh, I'm so scared. Oh, I thought I was going to die. I don't know. He's abusing me all the time. He keeps saying these horrible things like, till death, we're together until death, to death tell us part, until the death. He's saying all these death things. And so I'm going to give him, for a present, a big fucking knife with the words until death on it. And then he takes the knife. And he didn't say, I'm going to fucking kill you. He said, cut me or I'll cut myself. If you're terrified of that your abuser is going to kill you, you don't use his catchphrase and put it on the side of a knife and give it to him. I'm sorry. I believe that not one fucking bit. Not a bit. And also here, the only evidence she has where he is ever violent with that knife was when he was threatening to cut himself. He wasn't menacing her with the knife. He wasn't threatening her with the knife. How is that abuse? That's self-abuse means something else, but it was abuse. Yeah, I'm moving right along. Let's just go.
It was awful. I'm not going to play it again, but it was horrible. That in and of itself is abusive. This is the document that Mr. Depp signed, the divorce agreement, where he says, signed in agreement with his signature, neither party has made false accusations for financial gain.
That is just bullshit. We call it boilerplate. That's just bullshit boilerplate wording. I mean, even if there's like, I deal mainly in maritime and shipping law. So if there's like, if 2 ships collide with each other, and even if it's absolutely clear that one person is completely to blame for the accident or mostly to blame for the accident, when you reach a settlement agreement, you just say there's no admissions of liability. There's nothing in this agreement should be construed as implying one party is responsible. It's just shit you put in there to make everybody feel good.
He said that then. He could have fought this then, but he didn't because he knew that her allegations were true. But then he continued his campaign of humiliation. He says, I want her replaced on that WB film. Ladies and gentlemen, the facts are absolutely overwhelming of abuse. One time, that's all you have to remember. Mr. Depp simply cannot prove to you that he never once abused Amber. And if you don't know, you have to return a verdict for Ms. Heard. A ruling against Amber here sends a message that no matter what you do as an abuse victim, you always have to do more. No matter what you document, you always have to document more. No matter whom you tell, you always have to tell more people. No matter how honest you are about your own imperfections and your own shortcomings in a relationship, you need to be perfect in order for people to believe you.
Oh, see, now this is some bullshit that our PR team is coming up with. He mentioned you have to be perfect for people to believe you. You'll remember, I mean, or if you didn't know, you'll know now. Or you halfway through this trial, she switched her PR team. She fired one PR team and got a new PR team that was cranking up the PR engine. And immediately, the first weekend they were on the job, all of the media, all the mainstream media started publishing these articles, and all of the articles had the same common wording: the imperfect victim. All of these mainstream media articles were using the term imperfect victim, and someone on her side for the trial actually used that phrase in their testimony. And now you've got him using that phrase. This whole thing is orchestrated. I mean, the fact this imperfect victim shit is coming up and it's all been in the media, that tells you sort of who's leaking shit to the media again.
Don't send that message.
Oh yeah, and look at the lawyers. They're all like, they're giving him the keep on talking. Yeah, it was Dr. Spiegel that used it. Dr. Smeagol, Dr. Nosferatu, Dr. Eyebrows.
That's what he wants you to send. So I'm going to quickly get to another point that you have to find.
Keep on talking. Make Elaine pissed.
Rule for Mr. Depp. You would have to find that Ms. Heard made the statements with actual malice. Now, what Mr. Chu didn't tell you is that you have to find this by clear and convincing evidence. So this is much higher than the greater weight of the evidence standard that applies to the other claims, the other elements of the claim. Clear and convincing evidence is
Not
evidence
much higher. It's higher.
that creates in your minds a firm belief or conviction that Mr. Depp has proved this issue.
So when a party has the burden of proving an issue by clear and convincing evidence, what clear and convincing evidence means is he or she must produce evidence that creates a firm belief or conviction that he or she has proved the issue. So in all of your heads, be thinking about the answer to that question. Has Johnny Depp has he created in your mind a firm belief or a conviction that these things happened the way he said happened and that Amber Heard defamed him? I have to answer yes to that question. Okay. Margot says the evidence is neither clear nor convincing. I'm curious as to why the evidence, and he's talking about Johnny Depp's evidence here. Has Johnny Depp created a firm belief or conviction in your mind? Moving right along.
If you believe that Ms. Heard did not act maliciously in writing her op-ed, then you must return a verdict for Ms. Heard, even if you think that he never abused her. But I'll quickly go over the evidence of this. The op-ed, you look at the words, it clearly wasn't a hit piece. She visited her attorney, Eric George.
Margot's changed her story.
By video, that his objective was to make sure that there could be no meritorious claim that could be brought about this article relating to defamation. He gave Ms. Heard advice. She affirmatively followed all of it. So you cannot find that Ms. Heard met the clear and convincing evidence standard, given the testimony of Eric George, given the testimony of Terrence Doherty from the ACLU, when Amber went out of her way to ask her lawyer if it was okay. They will say it doesn't matter if she's lying, but even if that isn't, they will say that that doesn't matter if she's lying, but even that isn't true. Because again, keep in mind that if Ms. Heard wanted to be malicious toward Mr. Depp, the article would be very different. And I think it's interesting here. We'll talk about Mr. Waldman in a second, but that Amber utilized her attorney, Eric George, to make sure that she was following the law. Mr. Depp used his attorney, Adam Waldman, as an attack dog to defame Amber and to fulfill Depp's promise to her of global humiliation. The last thing I'll touch on before Elaine talks is Mr. Depp's damages.
The plot for global humiliation
of people for his problems. Everyone but himself. You heard.
Now, everybody can go ahead and call me old man and all this shit, but this plan for global humiliation against Amber Heard, for me, I'd have to know who the hell she was to begin with. And honest to God, I really had no concept of Amber Heard as a separate and distinct actress until this stuff happened. And then you go back and you see the movies and go, oh, okay, I sort of vaguely remember that character. Yeah, okay. Before you can go all Dr. Evil or James Bond villain and plot the eternal destruction of her soul, you have to know who she is.
Us reading the stack of articles dating years before he broke up with Amber, before their marriage broke apart, talking about his problems, talking about the fact that his movies were flops, talking about the fact that he was late to the set, he's unreliable as an actor. A word of reminder here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the only thing Amber ever did that Mr. Depp is allowed to sue her for is the op-ed. He's trying to say, I want to sue her for what she said in 2016. I want to sue her for harm that was caused then. You cannot do that. The only thing you're being asked to decide are the words of the op-ed defamatory, nothing else. Any damage to Mr. Depp's career is self-caused. Then think about the testimony that you've heard from his former business manager, Joel Mandel, said that Depp had issues with drugs and alcohol that damaged his career. Depp sued him. His former agent, Tracy Jacobs, said he was late to the set and that he used an earpiece. Depp fired her.
Yeah, and he used the earpiece for music, he said.
She said Disney never committed to Pirate 6. Disney's corporate representative, Tina Newman, said that there was...
Again, he's wasting time here. He has to say it, but he's wasting time because Depp's team took the high road at the end of their closing statement and at the end of the first part of their closing statement and said, we don't care if he gets nothing. That's not what this is about. These are the damages he suffered, but even if he gets nothing, he needs his name and reputation back. So he's basically said it doesn't matter if he wins $1 out of this. Wasting time because now what Rottenborn is doing here is explaining why he doesn't deserve to get any damages.
There was no record in Disney's records of this op-ed. This op-ed had nothing to do with it. In fact, Catherine Arnold, our damages expert, testified that the paper version of the article that allegedly
God, this is the never-ending story. I forgot how ridiculously long this is. Oh,
it said that Johnny might not be in Pirate 6. The same day, the paper article came
we
out
are
the
almost
same
done.
day.
Yay.
So the op-ed didn't cost.
Oh, we're very close to being
There's
done.
no evidence of any contract by Disney for Pirate 6. His agent, Jack Wiggum, couldn't identify a contract. His former agent, Christian Carino, said that there's no contract. He didn't lose anything as a result of this op-ed. Anything he's lost is the result of his own choices. You also heard him lie to you. You heard him tell you that this was his first chance to tell his story. But let's break it down because that's not true. He could have fought the TRO that Amber filed. He could have said, I didn't abuse her, but he chose not to do that. He could have fought her in the divorce case, but he chose not to do that. Instead, he signed the statement saying that no one had falsified any statements.
Nah.
He only filed this suit after he met Adam Waldman, the same Adam Waldman who convinced him to file suit against his former business manager, to file suit against his law firm and fire them and blame them for things. But by the time that Amber wrote the op-ed, Mr. Depp already had another opportunity to tell his story. He filed a case in the UK against the Sun.
Against the newspaper, not her, irrelevant.
And in that case, he had many of the same witnesses. He was on the stand for parts of 5 days, and he got to tell the fact finder in the UK whatever he wanted. Now, it's not the same testimony he told here because you heard me impeach him about 13 times with his testimony from the UK.
I don't remember any of it. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to tell Mr. Depp that this was his last chance. Tell him to move on with his life. Tell him to let Amber move on with hers.
Leave Amber alone.
Stand up for the freedom of speech. Stand up for the First Amendment. This trial is about so much more than Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. It's about the freedom of speech. Stand up for it, protect it, and reject Mr. Depp's claims against Amber. And now you'll hear from Ms. Beretta Hoff about the counterclaim. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. We'll hit a little pause button here for just a second. Oh, that's kind of a bad look for you there. Here you go. Oh, touch his butt. All right. God, it took us 3 hours to get through his 1 hour and I believe 15 minutes of testimony. My heavens. So we'll take a little breather, everybody here. And again, don't commit abuse on me. Stop abusing me. Hit that like and subscribe button and the bell and everything else that you want to hit, smash, or touch. Because I'm here. It's great fun. I enjoy being here. And yeah, let's see what happens. Just like and subscribe away. We're having fun here. But we're going to go back to do the Elaine testimony. I just kind of wanted to give everybody a little breather here. And oh God, thank you to the people that are liking and subscribing. You're all so darn awesome. Gosh. Now I did a thing yesterday. The glass that he was holding when he was accused of drinking mega pints, when when he was abusing the cabinets. I paused that video yesterday, and it looked like it was like a mason jar, like a ball jar on a wine glass stand. Is that a mason jar wine glass? And quickly, people sent me the Etsy webpage for the sellers of that, and now I've got 4 of them on the way to me because I thought they were awesome. I would definitely drink wine and whiskey out of a mason jar wine glass. So hopefully mega pint. I'll be able to have my first mega pint when it comes. Oh, are we all ready? Oh, it is sold out. No, the ones that I saw on Etsy were sold out, but they said that they had sold like a shit ton in the past few weeks. So I wonder why. Jenny says, when do you get monetized? God only knows. We're in the process. The process is underway. I've got all of the applications that need to go in. They've got all I'm just waiting for a decision on whether or not the YouTube gods will see fit to allow me to become monetized so I can inflict people with ads and beg for money and grift my ass off. But for right now, it's still in progress. He said this step, and this started yesterday. He said, we'll email you a decision usually within a month. Yes, and I've heard from some people it can take 2 days. Some people say, so we'll just have to see. I have no idea how long it will take, but everything that I need to do from my end is done. And everything is on the YouTube end at this point. So we'll just have to wait and see. Get sponsors. Ooh, yeah, I don't want to be sponsored. I'm not a sponsor guy. Oh, how nice. You're my favorite legal tuber. I really like your voice. Oh, thank you. Oh, where are we at here? Oh, sorry. Great to see you. Glad you're getting the mega pint mason jars. Posted the link where to get them. They're in Etsy.com. It's basically like Iowa glass something or other. I'll have to find them and I'll put them on Twitter. Yeah, I'm not a big sponsorship guy because you're sort of, I don't want to feel obligated to anybody. What microphone am I using? I am using a Shure microphone. It's a pretty darn good microphone, except for when I rip it out. There we go. I was awesome on Mythbusters. So we have the generational things. Like the younger crowd is Mythbusters, and then the older crowd is like Wilfred Brimley. Let me tell you about the diabetes. I tell you about the diabetes. And the really super old ones bring up, which is my intro music, the Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog games. Oh, now if Cuba wanted to fucking throw free cigars at me, oh hell yeah, I'd whore myself out in an instant. So, so anyway, get ready. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're going to jump right back into this. Strap yourself in because it's going to be a wild ride when we get Elaine up here giving her closing statements. This, if any of you in the, oh my God, you do look like Dr. Robotnik. Yeah. Thanks, Mindy. I didn't wax today. This is just all natural. So it's not stringy and pokey, but ugh. All right. Yeah, demonstratively, that was our 15-minute break. Have to recalibrate ourselves and dump back. If any of you are in law school or thinking about going to law school or thinking about doing this, here is a classic example of how not to examine any. Here's how not to make a closing statement. This is pretty grim. And I honest to God, this was the one where the reports were after she gave this statement, people had seen her, crying and going off into the bathroom. She knew this was fucked up. She knew this was a horrific thing. You do the best she could have done a little bit better, but I think she tried to do the best with what she had. But yeah, this doesn't come over very well. But let's dive right in to Lady Elaine Fairchild's testimony. Bring her up here. They've got to play grab ass here for a minute while they switch mics. Look at them laughing and having fun. And Ben Chu's like, did you fucking see that? Holy Christ, they're out of time. He's taking a huge shit ton of their time. They're going to run out. Ha ha ha.
I get to say good afternoon.
That's like a holy fuck. He fucked me up the ass on time. I'm fucked. Holy crap. I have no time. Because if I recall, this was like somewhere around 100. No, this isn't the 6 minutes left yet. This is the Rottenborn burned through, I believe, an hour and 15 minutes. So they have to give her side of the closing, and they have to do the surrebuttal at the end with like the remaining 45 minutes. Yeah, Camille's not happy at this point. This is a frazzled woman, and it goes downhill from here.
And I know you've been listening to everybody for a long time here, and I echo
especially that fucker Rottenborn who took all my time.
Strong thank you to all of you for this.
Is the verdict today or tomorrow? There is no court today because it's a holiday in America.
Fast,
maybe it'll be on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
So that you can get a break from us and go make your decision. I know you're probably itching to do it at this point, but this is very important to us, and we appreciate your listening and we appreciate your being here. I'm going to stay on this slide for a moment, and there's something that's very important on this slide that hasn't been brought to your attention by Mr. Depp's team.
Well, bring it up.
When you see the actual damages,
preach, Elaine.
Go down to the last paragraph, if you will. It says, Mr. Depp cannot recover damages for any harm that occurred after November 2, 2020. Do you all see that? So what Mr. Depp's team got up here and told you through Mr. Chu this morning has nothing to do with this case. He had his chance in the UK. The lawsuit was filed June 2018, 6 months before the op-ed. The trial was July 2020. The process ended, according to Mr. Marks, their expert,
so what?
On November 2, 2020. And his damages stop then. He can't get
the jury is not deliberating.
Damages.
They are
He
away on
can't
holiday.
get his legacy back for his children. He can't get anything after that day from you. You can't restore his reputation. You can't give him anything. They didn't tell you that, but the court told you that. And that's
It has
a
nothing to do with his
very, very
reputation,
important thing here.
Elaine. You
He
can't.
told his story.
No
He had
monetary
his
damages
opportunities.
can
He
be
had his
compensated
full
for that occurred after
opportunities
that
to
date.
do all of that. And he came in here and lied to you and said he's here to get his reputation back. It's just one of many lies in this case, but it's a really big one.
How is that a big
Because
lie?
Here we
He
are.
is literally. She is literally agreeing with him. He said, "I don't want money. I want my reputation back." She is just saying you can't give him money. Ugh.
Weeks of your time, precious time, 6 weeks of this court's time, for what? For nothing. Only to go after Amber. That's psychological abuse. He's going after Amber for nothing because he wants to put her through this again, the third time. So we're fighting back, and that's the complaint. She finally has said enough. Enough. And we're asking you to finally hold this man responsible. He has never accepted responsibility for anything in his life. You've heard it this whole time. He hasn't admitted to anything. He's blamed everybody in the world, his agent, his manager, his lawyer, Amber, his friends, everybody. But he's never accepted responsibility for a thing he's done in his life. But we're asking you to accept, to make him accept responsibility, to hold him legally responsible for his actions, and to fully and fairly compensate Amber for what he has done by creating this concept of a hoax for the defamation that he has committed, that you have heard so much about, that just took wildfire and went off into negative media and has made Amber's life pure hell up to this day. We're asking you to do that, to compensate her, to be fair and hold him responsible so he stops. We don't.
Wow. She's kind of being a little disjointed here, right? It's just I feel bad because she's doing a closing argument the way I like it. I don't like when people read from notes. I don't like it when people rely too much on a crush. That was my big criticism for Elaine. I mean, for Camille, was that she was reading from the notes in the beginning and the closing. And Elaine is trying to do her thing, but she got so screwed on time. I'm sure she had a lot more planned. She had a lot more things in the works, but she can't get to it because Rottenborn took all of her time. And so all of the plans that she had laid out in her head have just gone out the window. And now she's panicking because she doesn't have nearly enough time to say what she wanted to say. So she's trying to summarize it, trying to edit on the fly, and it's collapsing badly. That's how I see it.
We don't want another lawsuit. We don't want anything else. We want to leave Amber alone and let her get on with her life and raise her child.
Let's see if they appeal.
So let's talk about.
And if let's see. This is just me talking shit again. Let's see if that's what happens. She said it repeatedly. That she doesn't want anything out of this. She wants nothing. She just wants to be left alone. Well, let's see if that's the case. Let's see if she loses, is she going to appeal? Is she going to keep it going by appealing? If she wins, is she going to keep blurting about how much she won and how she's the face of this and how Johnny Depp was doing this? If she loses again, is she going to be complaining about how she can't get justice? Let's see if she leaves him alone. Let's see if she really wants to be left alone. Oh, it looks like Legal Mindset might be done with his stream. I'm suddenly leaping forward in viewers. He should, hopefully, I don't know if he's coming over, and he said he was going to come on over. Hopefully he will. Yeah. Okay. For all the new people that are coming here, hey, Legal Vice tried to send a super chat to support, but but it won't let me. Yeah, it won't let you because I'm not monetized. Yeah, I'm new to this. I'm new to this grift here. I'm not monetized yet. It's in the review process. I've met everything I need to do on my end for the monetization, but it hasn't been reviewed yet. They said it could take up to a month, but we'll see. In a month, I'll be grifting like a motherfucker. So until then, I take pledges. I accept pledges at the moment. So feel free to pledge as much as you want. And now that we're here, all righty, here he is.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
All right, welcome.
All my people over here, so hopefully they're piling in right now.
Like tripled. Well, now you're the first mod on my channel. Congratulations!
Yay, mod powers! I get to abuse them.
Well, the chat's feeling awfully abused because I just have to neglect them because I don't have minions yet. I'm working on minions. I've got email from minions. I just have to enter the minions into the deal.
Yes. Vet your minions carefully, though. You have to vet them carefully.
How's things there in the States? For those, I'm sure everybody that was watching me knows that he's in the States for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, and I've been, and thank you for pointing that out, because obviously, like, I think there's a lot of people reaching out to me being like, Andrew, where are you? Where are you? We need updates on this. I'm like, guys,
I haven't heard from you in 12 hours. Blink if you're hostage.
You literally, I said on my last stream, like, I am in a hotel in Incheon waiting to get on an airplane, to America. Like, hey, I'm traveling, And this is the first time I've had like good internet connection plus time. So, and I really only have time this morning because I when I'm back, I make my time as productive as possible. I'm in Orlando, Florida right now in a hotel. You can see the nice creepy Victorian picture behind me.
That's pretty sweet. I'd steal that.
Actually, this I like the theme of this hotel. It's like bohemian theme, so it's actually like pretty cool. But yeah, it's a nice spot. I've stayed here before when I want to visit. It's very centrally located, so I like it. But yeah, I try to make it as productive as possible, see people do collaborations and see my personal friends, because I know this is crazy, but we actually both have lives outside of this.
Yeah.
You've been showing a lot of that life around Korea, which I really like. You've shown some places that you haven't even taken me. I'm not salty, but I am salty.
You need to get down here again. Right?
I will definitely. No, that's on the menu when I get back to Korea for sure.
Well, it's good to see you again. I'm glad to see you got there all safe and sound. And
yes. So I'll be in Orlando today and tomorrow. Then I'll be in Miami, and then I'll be back in Texas for a while, and then back to Korea. So what you've covered the closing arguments, kind of running through them.
Yeah, this is part 3 because when we watch them live, whether it's Nick's channel or Alita's channel or the other people's channels, we just kind of sit and listen and then talk during the breaks and talk during the things. This is just kind of the breakdown where we stop when we want, talk about the things we didn't get to talk about, the things we didn't think about. Like the thing I noticed yesterday, I paused briefly on the I'm breaking my own shit video, I'm assaulting the cabinets video, and where she was saying, did you drink all that wine this morning? There was 2 things I saw in that I never noticed before. The clock says 2:30. So is it 2:30 p.m. and she's bitching at him for drinking a bottle of wine before 2:30 p.m., which I think is a perfectly okay thing to do on your wedding or whatever the hell's going on.
Aren't they in Australia too? Like they're in Australia. So like I mean, it's sort of like, for example, with us, like if we, like me traveling to the United States, like 2:30 is like my 10:30, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're not really fully oriented. You're also on vacation, like shit in vacation, like shit. Today, I'll probably start drinking around like 11 a.m. Like I'm going to meet up with some friends for lunch. Like we'll probably start drinking. Like I don't have to do anything. So why wouldn't I drink? Like what's wrong with that?
Especially if it's like so it was either 2:30 p.m., which I think is a perfectly acceptable time to be drinking wine, or it's 2:30 a.m.
Of course, your channel is Legal Vices, so let's be clear now. Let's be clear. Let's be real clear right now.
Or it was 2:30 a.m., which is 2:30 a.m. is when you start drinking wine because you've run out of whiskey.
Yeah.
So either way,
you start drinking the stuff. This is like kind of cool. There's like a cafecito flavored liqueur here. This is like kind of crazy in this hotel.
Wow, it looks like a nice crazy perfume, a nice cologne there.
Yeah, exactly.
Aftershave.
Yeah, they look like aftershaves, right? And this one's like the artisan. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What does an artisan taste like? I have no fucking clue what to say. Like, what type of alcohol is it? It looks like it's a whiskey. I'm not gonna drink it, but because that's at the mini bar, and you know how much the price that thing probably costs like $75. By
Probably
the way,
costs like Korea prices.
Legal Vices.
Yes, sir.
You have not been back to America. When's the last time you were back to America?
May 2019.
Bro, the prices are ridiculous, even since a year ago. That's not like it is. I mean, I'm just gonna say it right now, guys. This is one thing. Like every country has pros and cons, right? Pro about America. I love that nobody wears a mask. Right? I love that. Con is the prices have gone way up. Like Korea, to me, the prices really haven't changed since I've gotten there a year ago. The prices are pretty much the same, but here it's like this wild inflation. Everything is more expensive, like 2x, 3x. You know, I was reserving a car and they're like, yeah, we're going to put a $2,500 deposit for your rental. I'm like, excuse me?
No, you're not.
Yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is ridiculous. Like, you know, for just basic a car charger, I went to get a car charger. It was like $20. And I'm like, these were like $5 or $10 max for like, you know, the generic car charger to charge your phone. Dang. I mean, ridiculous. So yeah, it's the Biden factor, but we'll not go into politics right now, guys. But but yeah, it's it is crazy. So it's one of the advantages of living abroad.
Well, the other thing I noticed in the pausing the abusing the cabinets video is I've got another. I've still got the flask I've got to give you, and I've got another gift coming that I need to give you because I was looking at the wine glass that Johnny Depp was holding, and I was like, "Fuck me! Is that a ball mason jar on a wine glass stem?"
I think it may be.
It is. And the chat got right on it, sent me the SD link, and I got a couple of the mega pint wine glasses on their way.
Oh, you ordered them?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got one for you.
That's epic. Oh my God. We could have a mega pint, you know.
Oh yeah.
Mega pints in Korea. Oh, that's fucking awesome, bro. I love it. I love it. A mason jar on a fucking stem. That's great.
Yeah, I was looking, is that a ball mason jar on a wine stem? Like, yep. And then the links came and my credit card went crazy and we did it. God, people, you can throw money at me in a couple of weeks, guys. Chill. You save your money.
Yeah, you gotta do your wait, hold on though. Real quick though. By the way, guys, shout out to my boy Legal Vices. I just want to say he has hit, what are you at now for subs? Like 15K? What are you at right now? I don't even know anymore.
Oh no, I'm way past that.
What are you at right now? I've been checking. Where are you at?
I am right now, as we speak, at just under 16,600.
Wow, you're literally, so you got in, like, we got you in the span of weeks to what took me years, about a year and a half to get to that.
Well,
you know, so
I mean, you were kind of gradually building me up, and then the things we've been doing with Nick, that got me things, and got a good bump from Alita, and then that night you just shit all over me and said, "Welcome to the world, host some people." And
yeah, go, and then that's it. That's how you do it. You host people. You come on your channel. I'm like, my channel's out. Go to Legal Vices. He's in Korea. He's based. I love his. You know, everybody loves you. So yeah, you're doing amazing, man, and I appreciate it. And I'm glad I berated you. I drunkenly berated you into doing this because I knew you'd be good at it, and I think you're a great addition to the community online. Talking about this, and literally the thing is that it's quick, but you find your style and you find the people you like, and your audience finds you, and it's really an amazing thing. So you're did you hit the watch hours to be monetized yet?
I had 11,000 hours that day.
Wow. Okay.
Well, because like I said, after you dumped everything on me with you know, Nate and Jordy and the guys were piled in, and then I went over to Nick's, and then I came back to do my own. And while I was doing before I went to Nick, while I was doing my own, that's apparently when a DUI guy got booted out of line, and he was freaking out because nobody was online. And so I just gave him a platform. I said, you know, I said, I'm way too young in this. I have zero monkeys in this zero circus. I'm giving the guy a platform. He's going to say what he wants, and like, don't let him. It's like, he's got a fuck ton of people that are going to subscribe to my channel. I'm letting him in. I'm not, not going to.
Well, my position is, and all that, I made the comment, and I'm not commenting on it a lot, but I'm just saying that I let anybody on my channel who wants to come on my channel. I'm not picking sides here. I'm not taking teams. I deal with people how they deal with me. And if somebody's deal with me personally, one-on-one, in a respectful manner, I'm okay with them. But if somebody has been disrespectful to me one-on-one, or I will say if they've been unprofessional in like a large sense, like very like, so it's like to a pattern of behavior that's like existed over a long time where I can see a pattern, then okay, no, maybe no. But if they're okay with me, they're cool with me one-on-one, I'll talk to them. I'm going to have the conversation. You know what? Maybe we disagree. Maybe we get on my channel, we have a debate, right? That's fine. We should be debating stuff. So that's the way it should be.
And then we went over to Nick's there, so I got another dump from there. And that's when I sent you the message going, "Holy fuck, are you still awake?" Because I think I was at 13,000 subscriptions at that point, and then going over to Nick's, and then hung out with Joe and Alita and Kurt yesterday morning. Nick, that was kind of fun. That was kind of a fun morning. But so yeah, it's just been kind of going just balls to the wall here. And I'm just waiting for them to bless me with their monetization. Now I've done everything I can, and we're just in the review process now. So hopefully I can start the grifting game. But until I get monetized, I'll take any pledge you want to give me.
Yes, pledge it all, guys.
And the 1,300 people that are watching now, if you haven't subscribed to me, that is just inherently being abusive towards me. Don't abuse me. Subscribe and
PTSD. PTSD.
Yeah.
There was an article, Jeff, about memes being domestic violence. So memes are now domestic and sexual violence.
Was that the one that referred to them as psychological terrorism?
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to see, Salon released an article today.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
let me look that up real quick.
I got 3 paragraphs into it. It talked about how this was a battle between a bloated, washed-up actor and a long-suffering wife.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I see. Salon, by the way, Salon is known for their bad takes, but this is like.
Yeah. I wanted to review that. I got 3
Let
paragraphs.
Let me show you real quick how to do this. Like, so I know you probably haven't had other people do this very often, but see, I share my screen here, and you should be able to just like add it, right?
Yeah.
So you can just add that. Yeah. So this is a trial. Of course, it picks one that's like this. Like, of course, it picks like a favorable one of her when she's not having the bitch face. You know, so people will simp
that
over
seems
this.
to have been slightly airbrushed.
Yes, it is. It definitely was. You look at her. Look at her.
Your painting in the background looks more realistic than that.
Her facial structure has been edited for sure. With Depp with her courtroom television's exploitive tactics. So literally, they're salty. This was televised because people could actually see this bullshit, right?
So you're gonna drive. I purposely didn't do this because I knew I'd stroke out like 3 paragraphs into this.
No. We won't read this right now. I think this is like a whole article. This is a whole like stream in and of itself. Like I don't want to hijack your stream here, but this is a long article. You can see it's like significant article, and it's worth
this is a full on.
It's worth a yeah. This is worth like a separate rage over. I'll like bookmark it.
Yeah, but they refer to it as like the battle between the bloated, washed up actor and the long suffering wife.
Yeah. So let's go back to closing arguments. Let's not derail here. So I haven't had a chance to like do a full review yet. Obviously, I've been running around. Can you give me like a catch up on where you feel you're at? Like which ones you feel were strong or were weaker? Who was the most effective?
Well, you weren't. Yeah, you were gone for the closing.
I was out. I was on a plane.
And have you watched them yet?
Partly, I have not watched all of them.
Yeah, we just started Elaine's about 2 minutes ago, and that's after Rottenborn fucked her by using an hour and 15 minutes of their 2 hours.
Oh, so she had the 6 minutes. The 6 minutes.
Well, they have to do her part of the closing as well as their surrebuttal in the next 45 minutes. So. And I think she took like 30 minutes or whatever, and that only left 6 minutes for the surrebuttal. But yeah,
she was salty about that. And she was salty about that. She was like, "Oh, it's like that's on you, bro. That's on you."
Well, she's the only one that's not using notes, which I like. I don't like when opening and closings are done with notes.
I wouldn't use notes. I never have used notes for any of that.
That
when I did mock trial or anything.
But that kind of bit her in the ass because I can see logically where she wanted to go with this, but the fact that Rottenborn went so far over time, she doesn't have the notes to kind of editorial or edit herself on the fly. So she's just scattered and all over the place. And I must confess, as there's people that may have seen on Nick's, I kind of nodded off for about 20 minutes in the closing.
Oh, did you actually? Because
Elaine.
People were commenting to me like, "Oh, Legal Vices like was asleep," and I thought they were talking about that time when you were looking up the trailer.
Yeah,
park.
no,
Remember that one?
yeah, this wasn't the time I was looking up the trailer park. I was genuinely out.
Well, see, you haven't been sleeping. That's your problem, bro. Is that you haven't been sleeping? You're on the nod. Legal Vices is on the nod.
I had 12 hours sleep in a week. I was literally averaging less than 2 hours to sleep at night. So, and other Andrew,
man.
he was like, just in case, you just like put googly eyes and paint a little smiley face on your head so people won't notice. but yeah, you can see. I don't know how much time you have, but you're welcome to stay as absolutely as long as you want.
I've actually got about like another 15 minutes or so before I have to run here. But if you're going to go analyze it, I mean, I'm willing to stick around for another 15 minutes or so. And break it
just kind of throw in your comments here.
Oh yeah, this is good.
That she's just started. She's kind of starting to ramble a little bit and spewing. So, and you can see it in her eyes. She's panicking that she doesn't know what to say because she has such limited time to say it in.
For a moment. These are Adam Waldman statements. You've heard Mr. Depp say, well, why aren't you suing Mr. Waldman? Isn't that typical of Mr. Depp? He doesn't take responsibility for anything. So now
see, and that's been their theme. Rottenborn said, and she said, Johnny Depp doesn't take responsibility for anything. But then they keep going back and say, well, like, he's admitted to doing this. He's admitted to doing that. He's admitted to doing cocaine. He's admitted to yelling at her. So they're saying he does and doesn't in the same breath. And it's hard to believe. Yeah.
But the evidence is very clear on all three statements, and we'll show them to you in a minute.
He's laughing because the evidence is not clear at all.
Yeah.
Mr. Depp's attorney says these things. Now, Mr. Depp says, oh, I didn't even know about those until the counterclaim. Well, we know that's not true because Mr. Waldman's testimony was 2 months before those statements were made. In February of 2020, Mr. Depp accompanied Mr. Waldman to the Daily Mail, the same place that all three of these statements were published. And he gave him 2 spliced audio tapes to try to make it look like Amber was the person who was committing the abuse. He went with him. He knew that Mr. Waldman was doing this. He knew that Mr. Waldman was launching a campaign against Amber to try to discredit her. And the timing of this, we're talking, the statements now are April and June of 2020. The trial is July of 2020. So they're launching an attack to try to discredit Amber before the trial in the UK.
So what? I mean, again, it's a big so what burger.
Yeah, that doesn't change any of them. That's not material to any of the claims here. Like that doesn't really matter. Like that, all of this doesn't matter. It's just a matter of like reputation, trying to make them look bad, trying to, and I think that's all that Amber's had at this point is just kind of wildly attacking, like wildly flailing around, trying to attack Johnny. But at this point, it's coming off as just petty and insignificant.
Well, that's what I've just been saying that repeatedly is that the truth can never be known objectively for it's what, if you look at a platonic form of this is what happened. We all see it through our filters. We all perceive the truth in different ways. We all have our version of the truth. And as I said at the beginning of this broadcast, unfortunately, justice in the legal system is not about who's right and wrong, about what's true and what's not true. It's who can prove what. Yes. And the only thing you're doing by submitting evidence is you are trying to get as close to the truth as possible.
Yes. And who can prove it to a jury too?
Yeah. And I think his evidence gets us much closer to his version of the truth than her lack of evidence gets to her truth.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's what happened here. And that is Mr. Waldman, but it's Mr. Depp. The judge gave you 3 different instructions and you'll all have them. He's acting as his attorney. He has the authority. So Mr. Depp is standing in the shoes of Mr. Waldman. Mr. Waldman is standing in the shoes of Mr. Depp.
I'll give her that one.
Please bring up.
Yeah, but it's attorney-client too, so it's like you can't, like, it's a weird argument. I'm just going to say right now, I don't like the claims against Waldman in general as a lawyer because I feel like that's mostly protected.
Fake sexual violence allegations is both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp.
That's true, though. All of that is true. There's no lies detected here.
And that's what I think. I mean, the jury I think is going to read these jury instructions and go, "Oh yeah,
that's true.
That's right."
They're like, she's lying about the Maker's Mark bottle. She's lying about the grabbing her by the pelvic bone, right? It's pretty fucking clear to me.
Yeah, I think they're going to say, oh, yeah, I guess he was right.
Now, what this statement is meant to imply is that Amber is lying about the sexual assault.
I don't think it really implies
and
that. It
using
just
them
kind of
with
says
the
that.
media to try to discredit Mr. Depp. That's the clear implications of this. Now, the first part of this is this contradicts Mr. Depp's claims today that the first time you ever heard about the sexual assaults that happened was in this case. It was in the UK case. This is the case that Mr. Depp brought in the UK. And instead,
They're walking so
Amber
close
Heard
to the
trying
UK
put
line.
this out in the media, she did exactly the opposite. Now, this article's not in your evidence book. At least some of you will remember it being shown at one point with the title that said that Amber was successful in being able to treat her allegations of the sexual violence confidential in that proceeding. And it was treated confidential. She did exactly the opposite. She didn't want to tell people this. And you know that. You watched her on this.
She didn't want to tell people this, so she wrote an article about it. She didn't want to tell people about this, but she told everybody about it. Maybe it's just me knowing what I know about jurors. It scares me because I wonder if they're catching these things, and I hope they are.
I think the jurors are, because they've been, jurors are not idiots, you know. The thing is that, especially like, okay, if you're making a legal argument, maybe they won't be as keen on the legal argument parts of it, but they are keen on people, and they are keen on what type of people are, right? That's what people are very good at reading other people, generally what type of person they are. And whether or not somebody is a liar or not a liar is something that juries and people in general are very good at doing. And whether someone is genuine or disingenuous, right?
Yeah, it's that ring of truth.
Yes, that's what we're good at.
Truth.
We're not good at, I mean, not everybody's good at the law. That's something that lawyers and judges are better at. That's very true. But are they good at that? Yes. And are they good at picking people who are dicks and assholes versus people who aren't? Yes. And to believe that Johnny Depp, this person who's gotten up there and at no point has presented himself other than as a person who has himself under control, who is, measured, who is thoughtful. He's not coming off as this unhinged sort of guy who's doing something for no reason. All the stuff he did to Amber was with good reason. It was literally after she fucked him over and kicked him while he was down at the lowest point in his life, versus Amber Heard, who comes off as unhinged. Flip that over to their attorneys. Their attorneys come off as very genuine, Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez. Genuine people. Genuine emotion,
like
genuine feeling. Yes, they like each other, and Camille is fucking pissed at this injustice that's happening to Johnny. That's true. Elaine doesn't even believe her own bullshit. I don't even believe that Elaine believes the argument she's making. I really don't. She doesn't say them with conviction. She says them like a person who's stumbling over her own words without actually understanding what they're saying.
And if you watch Rottenborn's closing, he choked up twice when he was talking about the things that's happened to Johnny. You don't get.
You mean Ben Chu, not Rottenborn. Ben Chu.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Ben Chu. Sorry.
Yeah, Rottenborn is Ben Chu. Yeah, Rottenborn did not choke up. Rottenborn does not know how to choke up.
Yeah, he knows how to choke, but not up.
Oh God. Oh God. Don't go.
Another uses for those throat, which isn't violence or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Chu choked up twice, talking about the harm that it's caused and the damage that it's done to him. And you don't get lawyers choking up and tearing up about their clients very often.
Exactly.
It was heart-rending for her to have to do this with the cameras, no less. But what else is false about this statement? It's that there was no false statements of sexual violence.
So the false statement is there was no false statements?
And I will not repeat them all. You heard the testimony. And interestingly enough, you didn't hear any stories that differed from that with Mr. Depp. He didn't get on the stand and say, no, this didn't happen, to at least a couple of them. And he can't in Australia. He can't remember anything likely. But if you just look at the pictures of the destruction in that house, I mean, imagine painting those canvases and how long that took and how much hatred and rage you have for somebody to do something like that.
Not much, really.
Walls.
Okay. Question. Writing on walls, writing on mirrors. breaking cabinets, is that abuse or violence to a person?
Is it abuse or writing or violence to a person?
Yeah, because they're saying that it was Rottenborn that said him trashing her closet, him smashing the cabinets, him breaking the bottles was inherently abusive towards her.
Yeah, that's no. That's a no. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in the context, because once again, you don't take things out of context, right? What is it in the context of, right? That's the biggest thing. That was like at one of the most dramatic, problematic points of his life, when I believe he'd just gotten some really bad news. I forget what it was. It's slipping me now.
It was that his agents and previous lawyer stole up to $650
Okay,
million
yeah.
from him.
That's what it was. Thank you for the refresher. So
Yeah.
once again, that's a very natural human reaction to the fact that your business manager and lawyer that you've had for decades has fucked you over. Imagine if your best friend just fucked you over, whoever you are out there. You'd be pissed too. I would be pissed too. I'd want several megapints after that, right? That's me personally. I'm saying it from my perspective. So like that's a very realistic human reaction. I understand that. He's not hurting Amber. He's just slamming a cabinet because he's fucking pissed that people have stolen millions from him. Millions from him.
Yeah, and I just personally, in my frame of mind, my sphere of reference, I don't see writing on a mirror as being abusive towards someone.
How? Who are you abusing?
Yeah, and I mean,
because you wrote some mean stuff. Like it's like that's like saying mean tweets are abuse, right? Memes are abuse. It's the same theory.
That's just been their theme. That all of these, him painting over her paintings is abuse of her. It's violence towards her.
And wrapping pieces of raw steak and putting it all over the house. Remember that she also testified that he took her clothes and swiped them through all the paint before she left. These things happened. With respect to the malice on this one, he knows that he did these things.
That's like the third time she said, the fourth time.
For 3 days.
You know.
That's all that we need.
That's not evidence
for malice. But there's a couple of more facts here. But you can find whatever Mr. Waldman's done, and you can find whatever Mr. Depp has done. And both of those are the same for purposes of evaluating the verdict form. They stand in each other's shoes. When you have an agent, and that's what the jury instructions say, you can go with both. What did Mr. Waldman do? There was an article about the sexual violence that he had put from the April one.
She is just scattered now.
Amber's testimony. She was sitting near him in the trial. Adam Waldman threw that newspaper down in front of her defiantly. That's actual malice.
Throwing a newspaper down is malice.
Yeah.
Elaine is just malice. In word salad mode.
That's like, she doesn't understand the definition of malice. Like, I don't think she gets what malice actually is. This is, once again, this is a case brought in by people who don't know what real abuse is. And I've had so many real abuse victims send me photos and pictures and say, yeah, this is real abuse.
Yeah.
This is not it. Like what we're seeing right now from Amber Heard is not real abuse. It is the tale of a person who has no idea, who's only seen in Hollywood movies, in books, in periodicals, what abuse is. She has no freaking clue. She has zero idea.
Well, I mean, all the times, especially the cabinet smashing incident where she's setting up the camera and egging him on and antagonizing him and trying desperately to get him to hit her. And yes. I had several women in my chat yesterday saying, yeah, pissing him off and antagonizing your abuser is the last fucking thing you want to do.
The last thing you would do.
Everything you can do to make sure nothing triggers them. And so it's just these things. And I just like to think that the jury is up on this and that they're catching these things that we have the luxury of going back over and over and over again and hearing.
Yes, I think they are, because they're in the room, so they're feeling it even more than we are. Like they can feel, I'm guaranteed they can feel in person. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a feeling. There's a feeling when you know somebody's lying to you and they're being disingenuous.
Yeah, you don't know why they are. You just know someone's full of shit.
You sense it. Like your bullshit detector has gone off. And
okay, Elaine, you know. You know, you know.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. Yeah. Her cats know too.
Yeah, all 50,000 of them.
Quite upset, and you heard.
Oh yeah, what do you think of her halo hairdo?
This is some fucking ridiculous shit. Like, what is she going for here? What's this? Like some Joan of Arc vibe? Like, what is she trying to do here? Some like, what the fuck is this? I don't get this.
But I like that Camille out Joan of Arc her with that beautiful white the skirt suit she was wearing.
Camille's always going to look better because she's a genuinely happy person and a good person,
Yeah.
not a fucking evil ass Amber.
I just wonder how much she spent on hair.
Oh, I guarantee you it's way too much. I guarantee this alone cost her a couple $100 at least. You know, this is like a $300-400 at least.
Her testimony on the stand about that. He was just inflicting it on her. Remember Bruce Whitkins?
Remember Bruce Willis walking through glass?
Best friend for 40 years until he testified truthfully 4 years ago about the drugs and alcohol, and he stopped talking to him. There was a couple of really important things that Bruce Whitkins said. One of the things is he said he met Adam Waldman once. Adam Waldman said, "Do you have any dirt on the Mandels?" And he said no, and that was it. Then he didn't care.
Waldman's not on trial here. Stop talking about him and get on with the
dirt on people. The second thing that Whitkins said that I think was pretty instructive was that Johnny Depp has deep-seated anger issues that have nothing to do with Amber. He remembered even back when Johnny was married to his sister-in-law, he had extreme jealousy even back then. And I think that's pretty significant. Remember, Mr. Whitkin.
Jealousy does not mean you're abusive.
To intercede in some of these fights between Johnny and Amber.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Become so angry.
And jealousy is a natural human reaction. Like
Yeah.
jealousy is actually like genetic. Like we have like real reasons for being jealous. Like it's a natural reaction. So it's something that's normal. This whole thing of like, no, you shouldn't be jealous. It's like, well, you should to a certain extent, especially if it's your married partner. That's like part of our evolutionary biology in terms of like mate guarding, you know, child protection, stuff like that, like knowing the kid is yours, right? Like if you're suspecting that you're being cucked by which literally Johnny was by Elon and by James Franco, like actually, like you are entitled, like your natural reaction is to get angry. That to say that's like toxic, it's like, no, it's biology. Like now we started to get into where we're labeling biological reactions and stuff that is natural as toxic, as negative. It's like, okay, maybe acting on it is, but expressing it in certain ways is natural and to be expected in a relationship.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. And look, there's healthy ways to express it and unhealthy ways to express it, right?
Oh, sure.
You're jealous. It doesn't mean you can kill somebody. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if you tell somebody, hey, I'm not comfortable when you hang out with Elon at midnight inside of our apartment alone, like that's pretty normal, right? Like that's pretty fucking normal, you know? Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be like in like a towel or whatever she was, a blanket.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what the fuck she's even wearing under that. She's probably wearing like, you know, shorts or nothing, you know, like a bra and panties under that, you know, and bringing James Franco up and like I'm seeing in the elevator, you're, you know, kissing him and all over him. That's not okay. It's no bueno.
Yeah.
Was that Kipper and his whole group are a scam. He said, you know, how is it that they can be sober doctors, you know, for these years, and he's never sober. You know, he's even taking pot all the time. How can you be sober?
How can you be sober if you're taking pot all the time? There,
oh my God. I love this. By the way, I love this argument where like you're literally talking about two celebrities. You're talking in a country where literally in America right now, what 75% of the states have legalized at least medical marijuana, right? Like, you're not going to convince, and the jury is majority in their 20s and 30s. You're not going to convince them that drugs are bad. Like this is not like marijuana is a fucking lethal drug that's going to cause you to go crazy and kill everybody.
Reefer madness.
Yeah, that barely worked in the 60s. Like that is not going to work in fucking 2022. Like get out of here, Elaine. That's a boomer ass argument. And the fact they based their entire theory of the case on the fact that drugs are bad. Okay, that's a horrible argument.
Well, there was one evidence where there was a bunch of bags of pot on the table. She, you know, does this? She was making some aspersion about that. You know, does this look like a normal person's table? And my chat was like blowing up, like, hell yeah, party at Johnny's house.
Yeah, exactly. He's
my best friend.
The first statement. The second statement, Michelle, if you can bring that one up. Oh, before I go there, I want to talk about a few more things for Mr. Waldman that you have in your pocket to be able to find additional malice with him. Remember, he's the one that after the UK trial went to the LAPD with a notebook full of things and tried to get
we've seen this one before
against Amber. The LAPD said, we don't investigate those things. But he then went to a German newspaper and said, Amber is being investigated by the NYPD or the LAPD for perjury. Do you remember that? That's
I don't
malice.
remember that.
That's
I don't
showing
remember
his intent to do harm to Amber.
Camille
He
looks
also
confused.
admitted that he speaks to that umbrella guy.
Camille's
You see
confused.
that one
There you go, that umbrella guy.
from the person
Yeah.
from TMZ. That umbrella guy is the big lead.
At least she got it right this
Johnny
time.
Hold on.
Depp's, positive.
Can you rewind that a little bit? I want to like hear like sorry we talked over it, but I was like I want to hear what she said about that umbrella guy. Just like 2 seconds. Like
Oh yeah, 2 seconds in a 6-hour video will probably knock us back 3 minutes. For
that's fine. That's fine. There you go. That's fine.
3:20. That's 15.
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Malice. That's showing his intent to do harm to Amber. He also admitted that he speaks to that umbrella guy, and you'll see that one text in there from the person from TMZ. That umbrella guy is the big lead of Johnny Depp's, positive social media that is putting all the negative out on Amber.
They're talking about that umbrella guy. Camille's like, this is
and
bullshit.
he also ended up getting.
Well, I mean,
They're like looking over like this is like a ridiculous theory. Like, how can we rebut this?
well, look at Ludo back here, and then the girl next to him.
Because this whole theory about like that umbrella guy is Johnny Depp, like that umbrella guy is working for them, right? It's so fucking hilarious. Like they're like Tug lives rent fucking free. Tug lives rent free in the goddamn head. It's ridiculous.
Well, when we were talking with him on your show a couple days ago, I mean, that was hilarious. He's like, thanks. I had 500 subscribers when this shit happened. Now he's got 300,000.
Yeah, they just fucking helped Tug on that one. They literally that only helped Tug. Like appreciate that, Well,
all as they have repeatedly done is demonstrated to the jury, who's not supposed to know this shit, that all of social media is against her. Everybody hates her. She's getting death threats from everybody. She's getting hate mail from everybody. Mm-hmm. Amber Turd is trending on Twitter. Mm-hmm. They're put all this stuff that they should not even know about and should desperately try to avoid. They brought up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you've just told the jury that everybody's against your client. Nobody believes them, and she's a laughing stock with Amber Turd and that umbrella guy.
And you did that to yourself. You literally self-owned, right? You owned yourself. You played yourself on this one.
If anybody else on Depp's team would have tried to say Amber Turd is trending on, that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, that would have been a goddamn nightmare. That would have been insane, right?
But win for Tug. He's the one that wins most out of this whole thing, I think.
I agree with you on that one. I agree with that.
Twitter because he was abusing Amber. So now we'll go to the second counterclaim statement. And that is quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempts didn't do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine, roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, then placed a second call to 911.
That kind of seems like what happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first cops came and said, we didn't see anything. Nothing looked like a crime. The second one's coming back to there was some wine in the hall, but still no crime. And the thing that annoys me, that just personally, something I would focus on, was when Io called the LAPD, he was in fucking New York City. Mm-hmm. He called the LA cops from New York because somebody, which we believe was Raquel, told him to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not calling, as we said before, I'm not calling the local Domino's pizza over there to order you a pizza.
Yeah.
You can do that yourself in your own neighborhood. Exactly. But
now this is May 21. Now the clear implication here is that they're saying that Amber got together with her friends. They decided they were going to set Johnny up to be charged for domestic violence. And so they called the police and they tried to make up this whole story, get him arrested, but the police said there's no evidence here and went away. And they said, darn. And so they spilled wine and they, busted up the place and they called
rearranged some pictures nicely on the bed.
The lawyer and the publicist called 911 and tried again to get Johnny charged. That's what this says. Now we all know that's false, and it's heinously false. Because, after these events happened, and Ben talked about a little bit of it, but I'll talk about the rest of it, and I'm going to try to do it really quickly. But we all know Amber did everything in her power not to tell them who Johnny was, not to press charges, not to have him arrested. The exact opposite of this. But what were the facts of May 21st? He comes over. He's already been drinking. He's already high. And he is on a tear about feces in the bed from a month ago. And remember how...
Well, I'd still be pissed if someone shit in my bed.
Yeah, for sure.
He gets into these paranoias and he gets some idea in his head.
It's not paranoia. There's actual shit in his bed. Like
there's pictures, oddly enough, of shit in the bed.
Yeah.
Unlike her blood-soaked pillows, so let me take a picture of the sliver of wood at the bottom of the bed.
Exactly.
Go. And that was his this time. There's somebody put that feces in the bed a month ago. That was his spin. So she gets Io till it
spin. It's literally shit.
He's going.
It looks just like the emoji, according to Saturday Night Live.
By the way, Boo has this huge problem. Of course, it was Boo. He's always doing this.
Of course, it was Boo. That Boo is like twice the size of Boo.
Seriously,
literally, are you still obsessing with the dog? Like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
And he always does this. There wasn't a single bit of evidence saying that he always does this.
Yeah.
They just said he allegedly had some sort of digestive disease, digestive problem from munching a bag of Johnny's weed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she's just reaching. She is so scattered because she realizes her time is cut so short. She's just throwing shit out to see what happens.
So yeah, she's throwing shit to see what sticks on the wall.
Yeah, and it seems just like the three states. She's panicking. She knows what she wants to say. She has to edit on the fly. She's being confused, and then she's just word salad and hoping something coherent sticks there.
That makes him mad. Then he throws the phone at Amber. Amber screams out and says, "Ow, you just threw the cell phone at me. It hurts." Io says, "Amber, get out of there." Johnny gets madder, pulls her hair, grabs her and starts hitting her. So Io gets hold of Rocky Pennington. She comes over as quickly as she can. She goes and gets in between the two of them. She puts her hands up on his chest. He pushes. So
he assaulted her? Is that what you're saying?
And then
that's
continues to stand in between them. And he's screaming loudly 10 times, "Amber, get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up."
Did Amber get the fuck up and get the fuck out?
Maybe she needed to get the fuck up.
I get the fuck out.
Loudly. Then his bodyguards hear this. They come in. They break it up. That's how that happens. But the next part of this, remember Josh Drew, and I think Elizabeth Mars was amazing in this one. Remember their testimony? After that, he goes and he has to, he always leaves a path of destruction as he's leaving. So he, bashes up things, and you saw Ben's pictures here on the picture frames, knocks things over as he's going, goes down the hallway.
This is like listening to my really drunk friends try to tell a story. You just you're walking down, you just destroying shit, just knocking stuff off the walls and the pictures and the drunken weed.
Splashing the wine. He gets his bodyguards to let him into Penthouse 5. That's where Josh and Elizabeth are trying to help with Rocky's bead thing for the next day. And he comes in, storming in, and he says, "Get your bitch out of here." And he's got the big magnum, and he's mad. And Elizabeth is just
the big magnum.
She really knows Johnny. She's met him 4 times, and
the
she
mega
goes
pint.
ripping out of there as fast as she can.
I was gonna say,
if you're living in somebody's house and you haven't fucking ever met him, you need to get the fuck out when he says get the fuck out.
Yep.
Off, one of the countertops or something, I think is the testimony of his bodyguards. But you saw the pictures. He went through and trashed that place again as he left. Now, the next part of this,
I wish I had enough money just to trash things all over the place. That'd be nice.
Police. He's in New York. He
be
calls
therapeutic.
the New York Police 911. He's afraid they're not going to get there fast enough. He still remembers December 15 because he came in afterwards and saw all of the injuries on Amber and all the evidence.
Weird. We didn't see all of those injuries and evidence to Amber Heard on December 15th.
Really odd.
We just saw the wine picture from December 15th, which was also the wine picture from March, whatever it was, or May, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's terrified.
My blood pressure goes up every time I watch this shit.
Well, every time Elaine speaks, really.
Yeah.
So he calls a friend in LA and says, please call 911. We got to get somebody there fast. So she calls 911. So we have 2 calls, and you'll see the call summary. And the call summary shows those 2 calls really close in proximity here. So it's not them, we didn't get the first police officer, so we'll rough up the place and make a second one. You'll see that they're like 8 minutes apart.
Do you know how much damage I can do to my house in 8 minutes?
Yeah,
Especially if
a
there's
lot.
3 people doing it.
A lot. More than they did there. Honestly. They didn't rough it up enough.
We talked about it. We've shown you the pictures. The police officers admitted that those pictures could very much have been what was there that night. Remember, Officer Haddon, it was his first week on the job. Officer Science was three years on the job at that point. They say, they told Josh that if she will press charges, if she'll give a name, we can file a report and make an arrest. She would.
Of course they can. You can file an arrest anytime. Like that's ridiculous.
Which I guess is why they want to go up here. We can skip ahead a couple seconds.
The insinuation there.
Oh, look at that. A little flirty going on there. Little smiles between the 2.
Yep.
Rubbing some more salt in her wound. But this.
You recall Josh Drew saying that the police officer told him, she'll give a name, we'll make an arrest. He definitely said that. But in any event, she would not cooperate. She didn't want to, but Detective Santiago, their domestic relations.
There is literally a cop saying, if you're being abused, give us a name, fill out a report, we'll do it. And she didn't want to.
And she didn't do it.
Or domestic violence person said they should have done an incident report no matter what, even if they decided there wasn't a crime. Because domestic violence, it has the cycles. They come back. And it's good to have the record for the next time.
You cannot make an incident report if you don't say who the incident report is about.
Even if they didn't. And she also said that when they put verbal dispute only in those calls, it is a code that they use, and you'll see that it's twice on that call report. So they to say that's why we didn't write a report.
It's a code to say nobody was fucking hit. It was verbal only, and we don't know who the other person was, so we can't do anything.
Later, when they were first asked about it, whether they just decided she's never going to press charges, and you'll see on the call report they're insisting that to the second set. It doesn't make any difference. The point is, this is still false. This statement is still false because Amber did everything but try to press charges against Johnny Depp. So they go away. And the testimony is that Josh and Amber and Rocky cleaned up because they have dogs. So they cleaned up a lot of the glass and the wine and those types. They had no idea the second police officers were coming by, and they certainly didn't call them, and they certainly didn't. They never talked to a publicist. She did talk to a lawyer who gave her advice, and that's why she wouldn't tell them, anything. She said, "I'm not going to."
Okay. Andrew Lawyer, legal mindset, Andrew Lawyer. You have a client who says she's getting the shit beat out of him by her husband. The cops are coming over. What should I do? In what realm of the multiverse do you say don't talk to the cops?
Yeah, none. Like literally, that's why you called. That's why they're there, right? The cops are there to be talked to report this to. If you're being beat up to the level that Amber Heard alleges she is, like dragged through glass, punched repeatedly in the face, like slammed through a ping pong table, all this other shit she's accusing of, grabbed by the pelvic bone, Maker's Mark bottled, right? If this all is really happening, you're not going to mention it all to the police ever at any point. I'm sorry, no. And I don't believe you're trying to protect Johnny, but at the exact same time, you're literally videoing it and sending it to TMZ.
Okay, we have this. Pope Nick told me not to talk to the cops. The defendant, the guy who's being accused of something, never fucking.
I have a video on my channel. One of my most popular videos, well, at least until the Amber Heard stuff came up, was do not trust the police. Do not talk to the cops, because you should never fucking talk to the cops, period. Because,
Ever.
I mean, they are not there to be your buddies. They're not there to be your friends. Their job is not to be friendly. Their job is to investigate crime. And their job is to find crimes. And they are looking constantly. You are being evaluated as, did this person commit the crime? And the more you say, the more you've potentially committed a crime. Now,
The
when they're
easiest
off,
suspect is the one sitting right there in front of them.
when they're like, let's say, I know some of you may be offended because, I have a friendly member who's a cop and he's a nice guy. That's fine when he's off duty, right? I don't care. If the cop is off duty, right, then sure, you can have have more of a regular conversation with them. Although I would still say, based on a lot of the cops I know, and I dated a police officer, so I say this, I wouldn't tell her, oh yeah, I went out and smoked, a fucking, I smoked some meth last night, and I did some cocaine off a stripper's butthole. Like I wouldn't talk about that with them, But at the same time, when they're off duty, I know it's a little different than on duty. And if they're your relative or their personal friend, I get it. You have a different relationship with them. But while they're wearing their uniform, they have a job to investigate crime, and it's never going to be in your best favor to talk to them.
No, but if you call them,
you call them,
you better fucking talk to them.
Right. Why are you calling them? The only reason why you do it that way is if you're only considering the PR point, which is all Amber, I think, wanted to do. Is she wanted to call, but not deal with the potential penalty for filing a false police report.
That right there is the only scenario where, as a lawyer, you would tell your clients to not talk to the police when you called them or when your friends called them. And that would be when they come to your lawyers, I know you're fucking lying. Don't say this shit because it's going to come back and you're going to get screwed because you're a liar.
Yep.
Keep your mouth shut. That is the only scenario I could ever even remotely conceive of where I would tell a victim not to talk to the police.
Exactly.
Cooperate at all. So the second one's coming. You saw that. You've got the video cameras in there. You see, there's no effort by them to try to get now these officers to press charges against Johnny Depp. Just the opposite. Josh Drew doesn't want to even let him in the place. They come through quickly.
So whose fucking fault is this?
Yeah, that's on Amber.
Are they trying to press charges?
Why are they trying to put this on Josh Drew?
They're not trying to do anything. They're trying to get him out of there.
Josh Drew is not favorable to Johnny.
100% false. Was it made with malice? Absolutely. There's nobody that thinks that Amber tried to press charges that night. Johnny knew that. But the other thing that's very helpful and what you
it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Exhibit 772
she is all over the damn map.
Because once again, the next day, Johnny apologizes to Amber.
What the fuck does that? So hold on, time out. So you're literally weaponizing. See, this is the thing. They're weaponizing the fact that Johnny is willing to apologize and Amber is not. You know how insane that is? Do you see that in the insanity of that? So that Johnny feels bad about things. Johnny has emotion, therefore he's weak, therefore he's guilty. This is insane.
And that's an abuse survivor's default position. I'm sorry I made you angry.
Yep.
I'm sorry I made you angry. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I was fucking breathing.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And Jeff, I've got to bounce here, but thank you so much for having me. I'm going to be back on again with Jeff for sure, guys. Like I love him. He's my boy. Stick with him here. I'm glad you're doing this content, man. And I'm glad that you're representing for us based Korea lawyers. So I appreciate
both of us.
Yes, all two of us. We have a strong representation. But they're coming out of the woodwork.
I'm assuming everybody here came from Legal Mindset.
Yeah, I don't need to say something. No.
If you haven't done that, do it.
On this video, sub to Jeff. Make sure you're liking Jeff's content. I'm so excited for you to get monetized and start grifting hard. But I really appreciate it, man. And I will be back on your channel later. Guys, I'll take you later.
Have a great day. Well, that was fun. Glad to see you made it there okay. Now I just kind of have to rant on my own. And by the way, anybody that's thinking about being Legal Mindset, he lives in Korea. He's visiting the States right now, but he lives up north in Seoul. I'm down here south in Busan, where we hang. Yes, I mean I've got a few people that I'm looking at and talking to about being mods. But if anybody else kind of wants to throw their hat in the ring, go to my about page and there's my email address there and shoot me an email with some details. Tell me your experience in modding for other channels. But yeah, so we're doing good here. We're kind of sort of coming to the end of Elaine's deal. And what I want to do is because court's not in session today, I don't have to plow through all of the rebuttal and the surrebuttal on the closing. So what I think we'll do is we'll just go through Elaine's tonight. We'll go through Elaine's, and then tomorrow night, before the jury sits to continue their deliberations, we'll go over the last 40 minutes of testimony. Not testimony, the last 40 minutes of the the rebuttal and the surrebuttal, which is Johnny Depp's, and then the last 6 minutes that Elaine is gonna that the team Amber is gonna get when they finish. So we'll break down these closing arguments into 4 parts. This is part 3. We'll wrap it up with part 4 tomorrow, just before the jury goes in to deliberate. And I'll probably be, if he invites me again, I'll be over on Nick's stream where I've been for the past week to just kind of hang and chill and wait for the verdict. I personally think that I think there's a very good, probably a better than 50% chance that there'll be a verdict on Tuesday. That's just my gut feeling. Could go into Wednesday, but I'm willing to pledge. I won't bet. I'm willing to pledge that there will be a verdict on Tuesday. We'll just have to see. But let's jump back into let's see. Throw me a wrench, you Eggman. That's my CV. I like that. My Beavers unit, good to see you here. Thank you for joining on over here from Legal Mindset. You should be my mod too, because I know you have experience. But gosh, let's see what else we can do here with Team Elaine and her shotgun blunderbuss kind of word salad approach to a closing argument. Or
text messages at 772 and 773. He says my profound apologies in one of them.
But that is such the abuse victims'
in the other one.
reality, is apologizing for everything.
Next day on May 22nd, if he didn't know that he did all of those things. And by the way, remember Isaac Baruch even remembers the wine in the hallway. None of the police officers remember the wine. And that's because they're busy and they got a zillion other things going. And they
No, it's because they didn't see it. How about that? I mean, the cops don't have a zillion things going on. They observe.
That's the next one.
If they see it, they would put it there.
That's 100% false. Clearly they knew it. Clearly there's malice in making that statement. They're trying to suggest that she's manufacturing evidence with her friends to try to frame Mr. Depp.
Yep.
Nothing could be further from the truth on that one. And she did not want those police officers to press charges. Now let's go to the third one. Oh, and let's talk about the makeup just for a moment while we're going to the third one. This makeup thing, fresh face, natural. These were Adam Waldman planting these when he talked to the ECB people. You know, remember the testimony here. We kept asking, so did you talk to Mr. Waldman? Did you talk to Mr. Waldman? Mr. Waldman was trying to plant in all of these people's
Objection,
minds.
Your Honor.
Somehow she wasn't.
Shut up, Elaine. You eject. She's getting exasperated that she's bringing up this. Does anybody know what she just said? I was paying attention and I don't know what she just said. I won't stop this. We've got some dead air to talk through. I get frustrated. I get frustrated when I hear this. And I know that, and I really have in the past 3 or 4 days, especially since I started reviewing the closing statements here, I've really started to feel bad for Elaine, because she just has a shit case, a shit client. She's been shafted with the time frame here. I really do feel sorry for her.
Me arguing the planting, and that's because it's all the same thing. She wasn't wearing any makeup. She was natural. She wasn't wearing a stitch of makeup. Every one of them says it. It's the exact same thing.
I've never worn a stitch of makeup.
That? She's an actor. She's not going to go outside her house, without putting makeup on.
Bullshit.
She has bruises. Why on earth, when she's been covering them up for 4 years, why on earth would she not put makeup on?
Or maybe she hasn't had them for 4 years and she's faking it, and so she can go out without makeup and nobody sees the bruises that aren't there. Maybe that.
You guys saw.
God, I'm getting frustrated. Sorry, calm down.
You saw Amber on the stand. There were days where she didn't wear eye makeup. A lot of people think that she's not wearing makeup when she doesn't have mascara and eyeliner on.
She's not looking like a whore. She doesn't have makeup on.
Some of them are with eye makeup and some of them are without. And people misunderstand, especially people that aren't that good at makeup, and a lot of men, frankly, go, oh, then she probably doesn't have makeup. And that's where that mistake happens. But you heard her testimony, and you heard her makeup artist testimony saying she doesn't go out of her room without concealer and foundation. She knows how to put these things in. And you saw Defendant's Exhibit 155, and you'll have the actual thing in there. That's the type of palette she used. And she was very adept at telling you what colors she puts on for the different days of bruises. This is a woman who for 4 years did everything she could to cover up anybody knowing anything about this abuse. Do you honestly think she's just going to walk around for the week with her bruises exposed? Of course she's not.
That just doesn't
Now,
make any damn sense at all.
Let's go to the third one. And this is the abuse hoax. He says, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp. Now, obviously the defamatory meaning of that is that Amber's creating an abuse hoax, but there is no abuse hoax. I don't need to tell you all of the evidence because Ben did a beautiful job of just taking you through all of those different things, but I will point out a couple things for you.
Rottenborn did a beautiful job.
Remember
Beautiful.
Bonnie Jacobs, the therapist. Dr. Hughes and Dr. Spiegel testified about Bonnie Jacobs' notes. And remember that I was holding that, you don't get to see them, but they testified that they went through them. Dr. Hughes testified that she also spoke with Bonnie Jacobs. She kept contemporaneous notes from 2011 when she first started seeing Amber. And the abuse is documented in those notes, is what Dr. Hughes testified to. They start in 2012, both physical and sexual
Objection, Your
abuse.
Honor.
That Dr. Hughes testified to that.
Objection, Your Honor. And it's really, really unusual to object during closing arguments. So it's either a sign of desperation or it's a sign that somebody's really, really, really making a mistake. Someone's really fucking up. Let's see how long this break is here. I think this was a rather long one. Yeah. Actually, she's back.
So Dr. Hughes specifically characterized.
Looks like we've got about 15 more minutes left.
Reflecting both contemporaneous physical abuse and sexual abuse throughout that time period. Dr. Spiegel confirmed that later and said the same. When I asked Dr. Curry if she had reviewed those notes, she said yes, but she had no comment. And she
Your Honor, objection.
that was in there.
See, I don't remember. This is where I nodded off on Nick Recada's stream. I was nodding off around this point because I was just bored out of my mind, and I'd only had 12 hours sleep in 7 days, and I'd gotten into the adult beverages. This knocked me out. So this is all brand new testimony for me from just about here on out. This.
Spiegel confirmed that he had reviewed Bonnie Jacobs' notes as well. And when I asked Dr. Curry, she said she had reviewed them, but she had no comment, but she also didn't deny that those were in there. Amber Heard testified that she went back, and because of Bonnie Jacobs' notes, she realized for the first time that the abuse started much earlier than she even realized before. She always had thought that it had started in 2013. When she went back and saw Bonnie Jacobs' notes, she realized that it had started much earlier, and she was very embarrassed by that. Now, significantly, you remember that she testified about how she was first called upon to actually detail all of her events of abuse in February of this year. And she went through and took the notes, took photos, she took everything she had, calendars, everything, put it all together, and you heard about at least 64
Oh, well, that's interesting.
pages
Wow.
of detailed accountability.
That's unusual
And
to
Mr. Depp
have
came
buffering
and
here in
able
Korea.
to not refute any of that. Remember, they tried to impeach her and say, well, you didn't say that. She said, yes, I did, on page 64. Remember that? It was a very, very difficult process for her because there was an awful lot of it, and she put it in great detail. Now, let's talk for a moment about the motive. They have said that she has created this whole hoax, and I think Ben's done a nice job of showing how that can't possibly have been. But what would
Not really.
Amber Heard's motive be for creating the hoax or creating anything?
Yeah, what would be the motive for creating the hoax?
That's a big question here. They call her a gold digger.
$100 million?
She obviously couldn't have done it for the money because, first of all, remember the testimony of Laura Wasser, the divorce attorney. She said that California is a no-fault state and community property. So Amber doesn't have to have an abuse. She could have divorced him for irreconcilable differences, for abandonment, for adultery, for anything.
Coulda,
She
woulda,
doesn't
shoulda.
need an excuse. And she gets 50% of whatever he earns during the time of the marriage, unless they had a prenup or a postnup. The testimony from Michelle Mulrooney was that Amber completely cooperated with the prenup and the postnup, but it was Johnny Depp who, and you already heard from Ben, called her up and fired her. He didn't want a postnup or a prenup. So she's entitled to 50% of everything he earns during that time. Now we have Plaintiff's Exhibit 936.
Sounds like a gold digger to me.
Page 69. It says how much he made in 2015. It was 43 million. Remember back Mr. Spindler, Depp's expert, who said that he made 22 million in 2016. So you got $65 million. Amber was entitled to 31.5 at least. That doesn't include all the back ends from, for example, Pirates 5. She was entitled to that money. So she
Wow.
didn't need to say anything. She could have just said, I don't like you anymore. I don't like the color of your hair. I'm going to divorce you.
Your
She
Honor,
would've been
You
We're
can
gonna
fire the lawyers who
object.
pay for them. But my understanding was that he was paying for the lawyer. We're winding down here. The stress. It's just, and I desperately hope the jury feels this thing, that they feel the bullshit here. She's just saying unsubstantiated things, which is why we're getting all of these objections. It's literally word salad. She's just saying whatever comes into her head at this point. It's disjointed. There's no logic. There's no theme developing here. She's just remembering things, thinking of things, and then spewing them out in this really disjointed, aggravating, tiring way. It frustrates me because she has to be a good lawyer, or she wouldn't. She wouldn't have this multi-generational practice she's heading. It's just things aren't going well for Team Amber in the argument division. All right, let's see how much of this we need to fast forward through. Oh, apparently not much. She's coming back.
She gives it to charity, or she intends to give it to charity.
Yeah, she doesn't give it to charity, bitch. She pledged it.
It's a donation. But both the corporate designees for ACLU and for Children's Hospital said donation and pledge are interchangeable. These are pledges. The ACLU.
Nobody would say that. Nobody would say pledges and donations are interchangeable. Nobody would say that. If you pledge me money, we got problems. If you donate money, we're cool. But until I get monetized, you all can pledge as much as you want. Pledge away. I accept all pledges. Camille looks like she might have something to say about that idea that pledging, that the ACLU and the hospital are cool with pledge and donation being interchangeable. Should we talk to their accountants? Should we talk to their accountant firms and say, now the donations and pledges, are they the same thing to you? Because I just pledged $10 million to you. So does that, is that cool? You're good. You're good on the donations for this year. Yeah, nobody's saying that. I mean, that is just utter horse shit.
Corporate designee said You typically do pledges because of the tax benefits, and that's what she said. She pledged it over a period of time because of
Tony
the
Middleton
tax
pledged me
benefits.
$100 million.
And she didn't
Thank you,
pay
Tony.
for
You're
it
so
in time.
generous.
Now she started to make these donations, and you'll see
She
that the
didn't,
first one was
I guess
on behalf
technically
of
she started to
Mr.
make the
Depp's,
donations.
Business manager, Mr. White, actually sent the letters with the 100,000 for each of those. That was the initial ones. He was trying to
100,000
get
down.
those, and in fact, both the ACLU
3,400,000 to go.
The credit to Mr. Depp, not to Amber, for those. Then she made payments to both, and Elon Musk also made payments to both for 500,000 each, which she didn't count to her pledge, but they helped those organizations. At the end
Elon's
of the day,
donation
she's
means
made
fuck all in
$1
this
million
situation.
in payments to them, but then she got sued here and hasn't been able to because she spent $6 million in attorney's fees.
Bullshit.
She
She
still intends
that's
to pay
separate.
those pledges, honor those pledges, and she said that throughout.
She could have
And I
pledged
elicited from
all of
both
she
the
could have she
ACLU
did
and
pledge.
from
She
Tony
could have
Costa.
paid all of
They
this
haven't
long
expired.
before this
She
trial
can pay them
started.
whenever she wants
Now
to.
she's using
She
it as an
fully
excuse
intends
not to
but
do
she
it.
has to get out from under this first.
And
Now,
if you
who
paid these
would
guys
accuse-
$6
who would
million
blame a
for
woman
this,
for
Amber,
giving $1 million
you got fucked up the
in
ass
charitable
3
donations?
ways to
Who would do
Sunday
that?
and in
That sounds
several
like
other
psychological
orifices
abuse to
without
me.
the benefit
Mr.
of any petroleum
Mandel
products.
testified that Johnny Depp
This
is
is not a
charitable
$6 million
person, and he hasn't written any big checks.
representation.
Mr. Depp got on the stand and says he does it anonymously, but Mr. Mandel would have been the one writing the checks, and he says that didn't happen. Now let's go to damages, because I promised you I was going to go pretty fast here. There's a few different types of damages, but one of the things that the court has talked to you about, she told you.
I'm
that
just saying, this is
because
not a
of
$6 million
investigations,
representation.
therefore it's very difficult
I
to
would be
prove this.
pissed. I would
And
pledge
so
to pay $6
these
million.
damages to business reputation, inconvenience, embarrassment are presumed. You don't have to prove those damages. And one great example of that is the testimony from Mr. Hamada at Warner Brothers. He didn't want to have to get in the middle of all of this with Aquaman 2. They haven't even released it. So he didn't.
It shouldn't
read
have been
anything
released.
in
That was an
preparation
awful
for his
movie.
Deposition. He didn't talk to anybody before his deposition. He said that he tried to do technicals and say, no, we never terminated her contract. But, oh, yeah, we did tell her we were probably not going to renew her
Aquaman, it
option.
was,
And
I'll
we
admit,
didn't change the
I've
script,
only
but
watched the
Amber
first
got
45
script, and
minutes
yes,
of
they did
Aquaman. I
change it.
couldn't
Then
get through
he
it.
said, no, we never negotiate salaries, but oh yeah, we did renegotiate Jason Momoa's and Gal Gadot's. So he just doesn't want to admit to any of these things. But what came out in Hamada's deposition?
Look at the face. Look at Camille's face when she's saying, well, they were renegotiating Jason fucking Momoa and Gal fucking Gadot, so they should have renegotiated Amber Heard's contract for 2. I mean, this is Camille saying, what? To equate Amber Heard with Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and the other actors and actresses that the agent had testified to is ludicrous. Ludicrous. I mean, to put Amber Heard in the same acting sphere as a Jason Momoa or Gal Gadot is just insanity.
And I hope you were listening carefully to this. Was the email
And Chris
from
Pine,
James
yeah,
Wan, the
Captain
director,
Kirk.
and Jason Momoa, her co-star, who said they guarantee if they are in the film, she is going to be Mara in the film. Why would they do that unless they thought Warner Brothers was being unfair to her? And why did she get almost knocked out of it? Because of the defamatory statements. When they came out, they took on a life of their own. Ron Schnell, the young Sheldon, I call him the Doogie Howser, our expert on IT, took you through and tracked how they tracked the defamatory statements, the language from the defamatory statements, how that went through the social media and the negative social media. And it kept going and kept going. And he tracked all the way until a few months ago, over 2.36 million negative tweets, negative Instagrams, negative social media's comments about Amber that relate specifically to the information that was in those 3 defamatory statements. It took on a life of its own.
Well, she sucked. I'm sorry. She's not a good actress.
They have
When your own
continued to
acting
this
coach
day
testifies
to
that you're not
follow
that
her
great of an
everywhere.
actress and
Everybody
can't
has
cry,
stopped wanting her. L'Oreal
that's not a
won't
good
use
thing.
her, even though they've kept her on from that time. She lost 3 different opportunities that were being discussed with her. The most significant part of that, though, is that Aquaman was the biggest blockbuster ever for DC Films.
But was it though? Was it really? And notice how she clarifies further that it was the biggest DC blockbuster. Whereas under testimony, the agent said it was the largest grossing movie. It was of all time.
It was the biggest. It was over $1 billion. This was her opportunity for her star. Even the experts from Mr. Depp admitted this was her blockbuster. This was her mega. But what happened instead? As she's
If it's your blockbuster and your mega, they can't edit you down to 10 minutes and then eventually completely drop you from the film.
She was discussing.
That means you didn't have a really great part to start with.
She got the stand. All of those things were happening because of Aquaman. And then everything shut down. She wasn't allowed to do publicity for the stand. She wasn't allowed to, she hasn't been allowed to do anything for L'Oreal. She got shut down from her charitable organizations. She
maybe because they heard about the abuse and they didn't want to be associated with her.
About Aquaman 2. And instead of the career trajectory of the other comparators who all went way up, and by the way, all the experts admit that career trajectory went well for all the rest of them, and she's the only one that didn't have it.
Because she sucks. I'm sorry.
Because of the defamatory statements. So you have
just because other people get a raise doesn't mean you get a raise.
On ascertaining those damages. Now, Jessica Kovacevic, and I don't know if you remember her, but she was her agent. She said, everybody just stop talking. The producers don't want her, the directors don't want her, nobody wants her. We just can't get the traction, and we should have been able to get the traction, and they say it's because of those statements. So Catherine Arnold gave you...
Catherine Arnold has never seen a movie and doesn't know who any of the actors and actresses are.
She didn't use Jason Momoa.
Because she didn't know who Jason Momoa was.
She used Amber's, but used those comparators
to show
that they got big movies, that they got commercial opportunities, that they got these TV opportunities, but she used the base that Amber had. So she used the 4 million from the Aquaman, that would be 3. She used the stands, how much they got paid per movie. And what she estimated on those, and she went through those details, is that if you took that for the last 2 years and projected into the next 3 to 4, that it's between 47 and $50 million.
And are we just going to look over the fact that it's been widely reported, it was mentioned that it was problems with her and Jason Momoa, their chemistry together, their ability to look like they actually enjoy each other's company? Maybe that had something to do with it.
That she could have had instead of her star being completely extinguished. And that's what's happened to her. The emotional distress damages are even more extreme here. And that is, Don Hughes testified extensively about the PTSD and what she goes through. And every time she's called a liar, every time these hoax things come up, everything, it causes her to relive all of it. She talks about the panic attacks, the nervousness, the intrusive thoughts, the nightmares, all of the sweats, the anxiety that goes.
I didn't notice how often she looked at her watch. Yeah, I mean she got screwed out of a bunch of time by Rottenborn.
Was from Amber.
She's in full panic mode.
The stand before. It has destroyed her life. This has consumed her. She's getting death threats. Her daughter, they're threatening to put her daughter in a microwave, for God's sakes. She can't get away from.
Where's the evidence of that?
This media.
I mean, that's just bullshit. I don't believe that. I mean, I believe there's sick people out there calling for death because there's nut jobs out there, but
should be put through this. Now, Johnny Depp sued for $100 million or for $50 million.
Okay, now I do remember this part. Listen to this. This right here, what she's getting ready to say, is world-class WTF moment. The next couple of minutes are something that I literally have zero comprehension as to why these words would ever come out of Elaine's mouth.
And we sent a message back saying, fine, and we're going to sue for $100 million because look at what you've done to her. We're not asking you to give $100 million. We're asking you to just look at the damages in this case and just be fair and reasonable in whatever you determine by following the evidence and the instructions. But we do ask that you fully and fairly compensate Amber for everything that she's been through, both in terms of reputation and emotional distress. The very last point is punitive damages, and you surely have those in this case. We've asked for $350,000 for the punitive damages, and we would ask that you award that.
Oh, she's getting
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look at the expression on Camille's face. That is a, what the fuck did she just say? This is literally admitting they suffered no damages. She literally just said, and why I think she did this is, if you saw not Rottenborn, damn, I feel so sorry for Chu and Rottenborn. I'm getting them confused in my head tonight. But Chu, at the end of his, he said, we suffered $50 million damages, but even if you don't give us any money, we don't care. Johnny wants his reputation back. Johnny wants to get his life back. He wants to make movies, and you're saying, if he gets $1, they're happy. That was the gist of what Chu was saying. So I think in my head, Elaine was thinking, okay, Chu said that they don't need the money. Not they don't want it, but if they don't get it, they're not happy. We're not in it for money. We're in it for his reputation. I think in her head, she's thinking, oh my God, that makes us look like the money grubbers they're accusing us of being. So we have to say the similar statement. We have to tell them that money isn't important and we'll take whatever you give us. But she basically, not basically, she said, he sued for $50 million. So we're suing you for double that. We're suing. And this is something that all of us legal tube people have been joking about from the beginning, is that the only reason it was $100 million was because it was twice what he claimed, just to piss him off. And that's literally, she confirmed it. She just said that he sued for $50 million. So we sued for $100 million just because of what he did. But we don't want $100 million. The fuck? Why would, that is just stunning. There's no, I will never understand why she said that. And then she asked for the punitive damages. Now there's actual damages and punitive damages. Actual damages, are the damages that you've suffered. The punitive damages are you've been a bad person. Here's an extra penalty to make sure you never do it again. The punitive damages they asked for was $350,000. It's my understanding that is the statutory maximum amount they're allowed to be awarded under law. So basically, when she asked for $350,000, she is saying, we didn't suffer any real damages. We just did it out of spite. We don't really have a claim, but we want you to give us the $350,000 punitive damages. Thank you very much. And this is a very confused looking Amber Heard. God damn it. Camille Vasquez. That's a confusion. She's like, I can't believe that.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do, we still have rebuttal closing arguments, but I can guarantee you that the rebuttal closing arguments will be done combined within 45 minutes.
Here's another panic. Here's Elaine panicking again.
But what I want to do is go ahead and let you have your lunch. And then after lunch, we'll come back in the courtroom, have the rebuttal closing arguments, and then we'll submit the case to you. Okay? All right. So go ahead.
We'll end this
have
after
your lunch.
Elaine
Discuss
has
the
her
case with
freak
each
out
other
here in a
and
few
do the
seconds.
outside research, okay?
She's calculating the times, and she's going to drop the time bomb on Elaine, and Elaine's going to have a little bit of a freak out.
So let's come back at 2:10. And just for the record, plaintiffs have 39 minutes left for rebuttal. Defendants have 6 minutes. Okay? I didn't take any time off from the sidebars. 0 off from the sidebars. It's all from testimony. Okay? All right. Thank you. All right.
That was Elaine's little freak out there. These guys have 39 minutes. You got 6. It's like, but what about the sidebars? You get the sidebars. I didn't take any time out for the sidebars. That's all you. That's all your time mismanagement. So what we'll do is tomorrow, right about the same time, because court will probably start, I believe, around 11 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. 10 maybe. Yeah, 10. So probably the same time I got on here today. I'll come on. We'll wrap up the last 30 whatever minutes is left. 40 minutes. And then we'll just kind of take everybody's opinion on what's going to be happening. Now, I'll just do a really quick online chat poll here. Depp or Heard? Give me a J or an A for who's going to win this, and if you want a percentage of the chance of winning. So if Johnny has a 70%, do like a J7 or a J9 if he's got a 90%, or an A50 if it's a 50-50. Tell me what your percentage of the chance of Johnny Depp winning this is. I'd be curious. 90% chance, okay. 100%. That's pretty optimistic. 95, 97, a lot of 90s. I'm going to put it at about 70% chance of winning. Why do I think it's a 70% chance of winning? J69, woo. Yeah. Why do I think it's right around 70% is because of the uncertainty of how the jury will come down on deciding if there was verbal abuse, if the verbal abuse counts as abuse in this case. I think there's a big possibility, but I don't think it's more than a 30% chance. So I'm giving it 70% is where I would do a 70% chance of Johnny winning this. And Scorpion shows up. Scorpion 142, great to see you. We're just going to wrap this up here in a few minutes, but now we've got we'll go into like another 15 minutes here, and then we'll call it a night. It's midnight here. I'm going to try to get a good night's sleep, and then go to work and take a nap, and then come and do this, and hopefully be able to stay awake all night. Wednesday is a holiday here, so I get to stay awake all night Tuesday night, which is Tuesday morning in the States, and just enjoy it and wait and hang out and see if there's a verdict, which I believe there's going to be a verdict on Tuesday in the States. So what do I think he will win? My prediction for if he wins the case, what amount of damages will he get? I'm really torn. I think he could get the amount that would have been expected on the next Pirates movie, 20 some odd million. I think they could do the 7 million. But I also think they could just say, rich people arguing about money. Neither one of them proved what the actual damages were. So we award Johnny Depp $1, which is a standard. We know you suffered some kind of damage, but we just can't quantify it. So here's your $1. So, Alan Manny says lawyers always win. Oh yeah. The lawyers in this case, they've won better. They've won more than anyone else. Yeah, definitely the lawyers are winning here. What will happen if there's a hung jury? Well, Johnny can refile, or Amber can refile her counterclaims, or they can both just walk away. It would just be like this trial never happened. So they could do it again, or just let it go. Rottenborn forgot that the jury also have emotions. And I think that is a big strength, I think, for the for Team Depp in this, is that they are very, very good at eliciting emotions. And like you said, the jury has emotions. This was long. Let's see what we've got here. I appreciated the way you handled, do you guys, he was going off the rails a little bit before he got on your stream. I don't even, again, not my circus, not my monkeys. I have no beef with anybody. I love everybody here. Everybody I've met and come into contact without exception has been straight with me, has been good with me, has not caused any problems with me. So I have no problems with anybody. And I'll give anybody a platform. I'm not going to argue with them, not going to get into it. Just if you have something to say it, move on. And I'm not going to get involved in it, but appreciate the comment. Would they refile in Virginia or another state? I mean, I don't know if they can file in another state. It depends on what the statute of limitations for bringing the claims would be in other states. But Virginia would make sense because that's where this one was. Can the judge refuse a hung verdict and tell them to go back and deliberate more? Yes, that happens a lot. I say, okay, we think you're still able to work this out. We don't think it's at a complete stalemate and a deadlock yet. But if they do go back, a couple of times and they look, there's just no way. It's just too split down the middle, or someone's never going to give in. Then they can do. I mean, they don't want to declare a mistrial. They just don't. They don't want to declare a mistrial or a hung jury. Those are the two things you don't want. And so you try everything to avoid it. But if it happens, it happens. I played guitar my whole life, and although I put my hands through hell working, I'd never fuck up like that. Yeah, you would never intentionally chop off your finger if you're a musician. Oh, shoot. I really am so bad at self-promoting. If anybody here hasn't liked and subscribed, I'm going to accuse you of abuse. That's inherent abuse. You're inherently abusing me by not supporting me, not giving me love, not giving me likes and subscribe. But anyway, just like and subscribe to me, man. We're having fun. Let's keep having fun doing this. We're going to be having more fun as we go forward. And after all of this is done, after the Depp thing is done, I mean, there'll probably be another week or so of rehashes and future predictions about how this will affect things. But after that, it'll be fun to get back into new situations. One case against Marilyn Manson was just thrown out a couple of days ago. There's the upcoming deal with what's her name, Wood, that's going to be coming up. The Idaho case, the Dayball. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but that's been delayed until January. But it's good to have new things, and I can go out and do the things I want. I mentioned several times that I want to do one cross-examination from the O.J. Simpson trial a bajillion years ago, because I've said that, Daybell, not, yeah. I've said that the cross-examination that Camille did against Amber Heard was the second best cross-examination that I've ever witnessed. And I want to go back to the best cross-examination I've ever witnessed, which was Barry Scheck cross-examining the LAPD criminologist Dennis Fung during the O.J. Simpson trial. That was an 8.5 day cross-examination. Pounded him for 8.5 hours. I mean, 8.5 days, sorry. He was cross-examined for 8.5 days. And it was brutal. That cross-examination led to sweeping changes in how the LAPD criminologists handle evidence. It led to, I mean, the cross-examination by the defense team is going bad when after 8.5 days of just being pounded on the stand, Dennis Fung got off the stand and shook the hands of the defense lawyer and the defense team that had crushed him and destroyed him for 8.5 days. That's how bad it was. He was so delirious and out of it by the end of that cross-examination. He got off the stand and shook the defense lawyer team's hands. But it was brilliant. So I'm looking for the highlights in that. We can go over that. We'll be going over other cases, and I'm thinking about let me know in the chats if you think this is a good idea or not. I like watching things like sovereign citizen stuff. People that think they're cool and end up getting tased by the police. Things like that. I'm thinking maybe kind of doing some reaction videos sometimes too. It's going to be fun because we're going to have a lot more time to see where we can go with this, and I'm going to enjoy it. So again, what we need to do going forward here is we're working on monetization. Hopefully that'll happen. Getting some mods set up, which we're in the process of. And I know I've got some emails from some of you about being mods. If anybody else is interested, just kind of let me know. Send me an email. The email is in the about section. It's thelegalvices@gmail.com. thelegalvices@gmail.com. Send me a little bit if it's something you'd be interested in doing. Your reward will be my eternal love and thanksgiving for your hard work. We just kind of need to keep things flowing and stay on top of the chat, which I just can't do because it was okay when there was 30 people watching me, but now that there's 1,300 or the time we had 11,000 or whatever, it's impossible for me to really monitor what's going on. My Beavers unit said, give your social security number, your blood type, your mother's maiden name at Legal Vices. Yeah, we don't need that information. Don't need that information from you. Just sort of let me know if you've had any experience modding, because that would help, because I frankly haven't had any experience having mods. But with that, if there's anything else, any other questions that anybody has before we go, just shout them out. I'll get a couple on the way out of the way. Johnny is the father of my child. Where did that go? Oh, yeah, there it is. Johnny is the father of my child. That lady was pretty amusing. I'm surprised that's the only real outburst we've had was that lady. All right. Well, it looks like we are reaching the end here. We've gone 2 hours and 51 minutes into this. Unmodded does not equal unbreaded. You can be an unbreaded mod and handle it. Mods are they're necessary evil. You got to make sure the content is what it is. You got to keep certain topics out of the chat. You got to police the chat a little bit. You got to keep the bots out. You got to do, you kind of got to keep things under control. But when I get, my bots aren't going to be militant. My mod bots. My mods aren't going to be militant mods by any stretch. There's still going to be freewheeling conversation. Just need to know the topics to avoid the things, to make sure keep under control. With that having been said, mods won't have power trips here. That's why I'm careful. I've talked to a few people. There's a few other people that I would like to talk to that I know aren't on power trips. I'm not a power trippy guy. I'm very much an open, tell it like it is, unfiltered person. And so as long as we can stay unfiltered and still maintain community standards, that's all I want, is just to maintain the community standards in the chat. And mods will make that happen. And that is, we're gonna mod it, and it will be unbreaded. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to batter and deep fry myself any soon. I shall remain forever unbreaded. And on that note, 2 hours and 53 minutes in it, the 1,200 of you that are remaining, please like and subscribe, and please come back. We're going to do this again in about 21 hours from now. So be looking for the notification on Twitter. Be looking for the notification here on YouTube, and it'll be there, and we'll see you there. And hopefully after we finish tomorrow, I'll head on over to Nick's, and we can sit around and talk about nothing while we wait for the jury to come back with a big decision. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon wherever you are. And remember to enjoy your legal vices. Good night, everybody. Take care.